Suddenly FEMA can't get water to the Superdome within 5 days because they haven't got certain resources because they've wasted all their money on something else. The California wildfires, suddenly we don't really have a network of firefighters that can go out and put all these fires out because we couldn't be bothered to fill up the reservoirs. We constantly see these institutions that are supposed to be there to service us and protect us, which we pay into, fail constantly. That's why us as preppers and survivalists, acknowledge those services and make use of them and use them, but we can never rely on any of that kind of stuff, ever.
It's because when it's concepted, it's a great idea, and it's priced at a certain point, and then the amount of funding cutbacks all these projects get, because they think they'll never actually need them. When they do need them, they've realised how much they've cut off, and they're suddenly not fit for purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. I can almost imagine if you were in charge of the budget for FEMA, for example, and somebody says you've got $10 million to spend this year, you can either spend it on anything you like. What are we short of? We don't really have a lot of sandbags. How much are they going to cost? Well, we could spend $10 million on them. What's the chances of we needing? Is there a flood likely, or is the fire more likely? And I can see them saying, well, let's roll the dice. There hasn't been a flood for 10 years. To hell with the sandbags. Let's go spend that $10 million on, painting zebra crossings, rainbows or something.
Is there any surprise that half the population is the same thinking as well? Oh, it'll never happen. Oh, it'll never happen to me. Every news report where something goes bad, you hear the same people going, I never thought it had happened to me.
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest problems with disaster preparedness, and one of the reasons most countries aren't genuinely prepared for it, is because they're so infrequent. Because an earthquake isn't something that happens very often. It only happens maybe a couple of times in a generation. It's easy to hide the money.
It was unprecedented. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, it's the reason why if we get 1 inch of snow in the UK, all our trains don't move and our roads come to an absolute standstill. And it's always the same thing. People say, why didn't you prepare for that? Other countries where it snows all the time, like in Canada, they're prepared. Yeah, because it snows there every year. So they have a resource that continuously gets used every year, year on, year out. But in the UK, because we only get a bad snowstorm every 20 years or so, then no, it's a case of let's just not spend any of that money. Let's go and, spend it on, I don't know, some useless nonsense for politicians.
Wage rise for the politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Krista says, what I meant is, how do you find a prepper stronghold that would accept people that can offer resources, be it food, seeds, etc., etc.? That can be difficult.
Building and networking now, while you're in peace times, is how you would have a head start with something like that. I don't think is going to be advertised, this is a prepper stronghold, but if you've definitely got a plan in place and you've got several people with the same plan, example, a stately home that is maybe government run as a tourist attraction, people are not going to be living there, it's going to be empty, something like that. If you've got a plan in place already, that's what I would call a prepper stronghold. So networking and community now is key for then, because you're not going to be able to network after the fact.
There's always places that are traditionally used and in certain emergencies. So you're always going to use places like community centres, high school gymnasiums, because they hold large volumes of people, churches or mosques and synagogues, that kind of stuff. Usually large halls, areas where large amounts of people can congregate in one space, but it's out of the way of things like hospitals or the fire. It's away from the emergency service stuff where they need the traffic to flow correctly, and then it moves to those places usually. And it's always a place that's a community-based place. It's very rare. I mean, in the movies, you see supermarkets get taken over, and then everybody's up on the roof shooting the zombies. In the real world, a supermarket's a bloody terrible place to go. There's a million ways into a supermarket. They're not very well built. They're pretty cold and miserable. And if you take a look at supermarkets after the tsunami that happened in Japan, you wouldn't want to be anywhere near them because they go disgusting after a while.
The only way a supermarket is viable as something like that is if it's a case scenario, let's say Black Death hits and there's very few survivors and you band together with what few survivors you are, fair enough, go to a supermarket. You're probably not going to get many people coming down the road, but it's only that very rare scenario. If there's a majority of the population are still living after week 1, then that's going to be a target massively.
Yeah. I would always start from your own home, and then your neighbor, and then the next neighbor, and then take a look at the geography of your street, and then you can have zones, and if there's a community center within the few blocks where you live, that's probably going to be where the government coordinates from anyway, because they need a place to be, they need a big car park, etc. So they're going to be there, but then you can sort of extend your zone out based on that. And in my country, I would just go to a castle because we have them everywhere.
Yeah, but they're all falling apart. You can't even let the tourists in. Mark, what are we cooking, Mark?
I'm making cowboy candy, which is bread and butter pickled jalapeno peppers.
Oh, nice. I like it.
I got about, I have a half a bushel, whatever that equates to in pounds. I think it's about 25 pounds of jalapenos. I have a lot of friends. I ran out of it about a week ago, and all my friends ran out months ago. They're like, we need more. I'm like, fine. So it cost me like $18. I have a farmer up the road. I just place an order with them. Like, hey, next time you swing by for your farmer's market, bring them on. They're huge. Where's my camera? There I am. So, I mean, these things are big as my hand. So, but anyway, yeah, I got so far this pot is full. You can sort of see it. And I got to get another pot.
Not a small order then.
No, not a small order, but if I'm going to do anything, I do it in volume. If I'm going to make a mess, I might as well make it worth a mess.
Bob, how did your dehydrated fruit snacks experiment go?
Oh, they're excellent. I bought more, and they're in my little snack cupboard right now. Yeah,
nice.
My favorite ones were the pineapple, and in fact, 2 days ago I opened up another pack of them late at night, and just no, delicious, man. I love it. I love those dehydrated fruit.
Yeah,
dehydrated, freeze dried, yeah.
Yeah, these are just dehydrated. They're not freeze dried.
All right, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for freeze dried options because I start my cycle tomorrow, so I was looking for lightweight food, but nothing in our supermarkets.
Bananas.
I don't like bananas.
You live close.
You don't like bananas?
I don't like bananas.
The
you can't ship that stuff
pineapple.
overseas. I got lots of freeze dried everything.
Yeah, the pineapple, superb. That's my favorite.
Yeah. If you can get it to me in the next 12 hours, then I can use it, Mark.
Yeah, no. Here's the problem with freeze-dried fruit for you doing cycling. There is zero moisture content, zero. So as soon as you start eating it, your mouth dries out instantly.
Yeah.
And you need a lot more water now to rehydrate, because your body, the fruit and the food that's freeze-dried is going to suck the moisture right out of your body. Period. It needs to digest it. It needs water. And it's going to pull it out. So eating dried anything long excursion that you need moisture in your body, freeze dried is, unless you're doing meals where you're going to add water to it. But as a snack, no. You better have a cup of coffee or a big bottle of water with you when you're eating some of the stuff I make.
Well, I've got loads of water. I opted for a big stack of flapjacks, so individual flapjacks. That's for energy on the go. So
try and get some squeezy peanut butter. That's always good for energy as well.
Don't like peanuts either.
Oh my god, peanut butter on a banana is fantastic.
Going back to the topic, guys, I have you Brits may not be aware, but the last place that we lived, I had 19 attempted home invasions and 1 successful home invasion. The best advice I can give to you, if you run across anyone sketchy, stand your ground and don't talk to them. Do not converse with them under any circumstances. I would stand in the doorway of my garage at parade rest and just look at them, and they would try to talk to me. Their drug addicts are even better at reading your body language and manipulating you than the average sober person, because that's what they do for a living. They bring you in, they suck you into their world, and bam, they rob you and they're gone.
Is that in the Is
Don't
that
talk to them.
Seattle? Is it Seattle that
Yeah, in the area of Seattle. Yeah. That's
the
where I live.
home invasion a big issue there? Is that a
Oh yeah. It was in my area for quite a few years because Seattle did a homeless cleanup. We solved the homeless problem.
We've shoved them out of the city into the
Yes.
suburbs.
Exactly what they did. Exactly what they did. And now that we have to deal with them, and I've had to stand my ground 19 times. Don't talk with anyone who's sketchy. Just stand your ground. Now I'm lucky. I was wearing a 45 on my hip 24/7, and they'd see me stand in my. And as soon as I would see them coming, because they always have a small backpack on their back and a BMX bike. BMX bike is so they can throw it in the trunk of a car and disappear. And a bicycle
or an electric scooter?
Yeah,
That's
that
the new one.
And the small backpack is so they can bring pry bars and break into your house when they know that you're not home. But don't converse with them under any circumstances. Just stand there, and sometimes they'll yell and scream at you. You know, F you, you blah, 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 blah. And I had one guy scream at me for 20 minutes. 20 minutes going on a tirade. And my son was upstairs and he heard the whole thing, and I just stood there at parade rest. And when he tried to get closer, I turned to my right and show him the 45 on my hip. And he'd stop. And I'm like, oh, they can't figure you out if you don't talk to them. They can't figure out whether you're weak, whether you're strong, whether you have anything or not. Yeah. They don't know what to think, and they're not accustomed to that. So best advice I can give to you guys.
Yeah, definitely be
Good
prepared
point.
to sort of fight it off as well. Home invasions, I don't think, is a massive problem in the UK, but I was reading on the Discord recently of one happening where like six men masked ran into somebody's house and tried to rob them or whatever, and he actually fought them off and killed one of them with a knife, which is very unusual in the UK. But he managed to do that, and nothing's happening to him from what I believe. He was just defending himself and his family, but
well, that makes a change.
He didn't go to jail for that. Yeah, usually the victim goes to jail over there, from what I hear.
Oh yes. Usually you've got to let there was a unwritten rules around it where if they're inside your property downstairs robbing you and you're upstairs in the bedroom, you can't do anything about it because they're no threat.
Yeah.
If they're coming up to you, then they're a threat. You can defend yourself. But if they're down, so they could just rob you blind, and if you go down there, you're in the wrong, which is ridiculous.
Good on you for learning your local laws. Learning your local laws. I'm good on you guys. Teach anybody in your neighborhood what the local laws are.
I learn it, yes, Bob. But do you think I'm going to do it? Do you think I'm going to sit in my bedroom and let somebody rob my downstairs? I'm afraid not.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I guess they were there. I didn't hear them. They were very quiet crooks. I came downstairs to get a drink of water, and one of them attacked me. So they're not here anymore.
I always sleepwalk with a machete. I'm sorry. It was just.
For me, I've been through a lot, and with experience, if it's possible, if they come in through the front door, me and mine are going to go out the back door. Avoid it. I don't want to shoot or bludgeon anyone in my home because of their bloodborne pathogens are going to be all over the inside of your house. That's one major thing, and the legal stuff too. I don't want to run into that. If they come in the front door, I'm going to go out the back door. Now, if my son or daughter is upstairs or wife and I can't get to them to protect them, it's on, baby.
Yeah.
It's on. We're going to dance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, never look for a fight, but if it comes your way, fight for your life.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah. I seen a thing where it was talking about DC, because of the whole Trump thing taking over DC with the crime rate. People were putting stickers on their car window saying, "Please don't smash my window. There's nothing in this car," or they were leaving their doors open saying, "Don't break the window. The door's open. There's nothing in it."
Oh, they were doing that in California. They were leaving their hatches open, wide open.
Yeah.
Go in the house, leave your door up. That way they didn't at least destroy your car trying to look for something. But
Yeah.
what did they do? They smashed it anyway because there was nothing there and the door was open.
I assume you have the same over there in the States, but you can't see a single van on a work site over here that doesn't have a sign on the back saying "No tools left in van overnight." Because they'll trash a lock and damage a door and £500-600 worth of damage to rob a 20 quid drill.
Yeah, there's actually a thing in law enforcement called the broken window theory, where the idea being that if a car, for example, is seen on the, a parked car has a broken window, and nothing is done about it, it's not immediately repaired or not immediately dealt with. It won't be long before the car next to it will have a broken window. Then the car next to that will have a broken window. And before you know it, you're living in a totally destroyed neighborhood over a minor thing, because the people who are inclined to commit criminal acts like that realize just by observation, and bugger all's happening here. Obviously, I can get away with just smashing my way into this car or this van or breaking this window. And that's why you sometimes see neighborhoods, and particularly rundown places, where 6 or 7 doors have clearly been kicked in, because the first one was never sorted, and it becomes known as an area where that takes place.
That's why up and down the UK, people are helping themselves to supermarkets.
Yeah.
Because they've seen all the footage offline, and Tesco security and Asda security and supermarket security can't do anything. And they're walking in, grabbing handfuls of liquor and walking out past security. Like, goodbye, no problems.
Security
That's happening up and down the UK.
California. You can't
Yeah.
arrest them if they've taken less than $1,000 worth of stuff. So they go into the garbage bags, load it up, and walk out the door. Security, you're not allowed to touch them. You just can't touch them.
Madness.
It's ridiculous.
Madness. I used to have a shop in North Wales with my ex and my family, and I just wouldn't do it anymore. I wouldn't do it anymore. It's just not. I don't think I could stand there and watch somebody take something and walk out. Something would snap inside me, so it's not worth the risk of me having a shop.
Yeah, for sure. I think if we're talking about trying to be aware of the particular characteristics and the particular people to avoid in the SHTF, I think the most obvious red flags would be people who are overly interested in what it is you have, or where they can get resources. I would be wary as well of people who didn't appear to have anything. Like, they were literally just walking around without a backpack on, or they didn't appear to have anything, so they weren't going anywhere, but they were still wandering around for some reason. People with obvious weapons is another one as well. I would tend to avoid those kind of people where possible.
I'm luckier at the moment. I'm in a cul-de-sac, which if you go walking down there, you live there. So if you're walking down there and not recognized, people are at the curtains.
Shadow, I'd like to share something out. This is up from my channel.
No problem.
I'm 60 years old, and in one day I installed 5 of these inside door locks, in every bedroom door, bathroom door, inside, all of the doors inside. And that's part of my strategy. Is if they come in the garage, I'm going to lock some doors behind me to get out the back door, or et cetera, because in the legal world, if they smash through 2 doors to get at you, and then I have to react with a weapon, it's going to go much, much better for me. But I recommend these kind of locks to any one of you guys. They're really easy to install. Even if it's a hollow core door, he's going to have to crash through that door before I drop the hammer.
Yeah. So how does that work? I'm sorry, I'm trying to assess from the picture how that was working there. So is that on the inside of the door, as in the door opens towards us right now?
Yeah, that's let me see. I'll start the video, make it larger so you guys can see it. That's how it works. They're really simple to operate, but that in a court of law, that will look much better for me. I fell back and locked the door. Then he went through that door, and I fell back and locked the door, and he went through that door, and then open up.
Yeah, which at that point it's reasonable fear for your life, so you're protecting your life at that point.
Correct.
Most building codes in the United States, bedroom doors open to the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Egress doors also open to the inside, which I never liked, but there's a reason you need to get out of your house, and if something falls against the front door, you ain't getting out. So yeah, even all doors open to the inside for the most part.
I think ours are the same here.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. All doors open to the inside as well.
Yeah,
That lock actually reminds me of something I've seen where you can get these wedges. It's literally just a wedge that you stick like at the bottom of your door. And the videos I've seen of people trying to kick the door when this wedge is in place, you have to break the door in half.
You close the door, then it's real simple to operate it, and then slam that piece shut. I'll go back and please, guys, get some of these. Take a day off, get some tools, and do it yourself, because once you go to court, it's almost as like the UK here in the Seattle area, and that's the striker plate on the actual. There you go. Those are the little tiny screws it comes with.
Oh yeah,
replace those screws.
Always change the screws. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Same on hinges. Even on hinges, the screws are ridiculous.
I certainly
hinges
did.
and the striker plate for your doorknobs on most doors. The screws are those are the screws.
That's it.
Yeah, the striker plate for like when the door latches. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they should get 4-inch screws, because usually depending on what kind of front door you have, but on the other side of the trim molding where your striker is, there's at least 1 2x4. Usually there's 2.
Yeah, I had to take an angle grinder and notch out some of the doors so that it will go in there and close. But that looks real good for me in court if I have to take a life or cripple somebody. Please, guys, get a few tools together and put these inside of your house. Please do.
Yeah. It's probably not the same as what Alan was mentioning, but we've got these. Which, if anyone can see them on the bottom corner, there you go. So they're just like, you can use a piece of wood as a door wedge, but this is a dual purpose. So it's got a pressure plate which sets it, and once you turn it on now, nothing happens, but it wedges under. If for any reason they manage to get that door open, break it, smash it off, and that raises, it also sounds a very high pitch alarm coming out of there. So you've got not just hearing them breaking through the door, you've got a screaming alarm on top of it as well. Very good. Very good. Were a pack of 3 for like £7 or £8, next to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Good for people who stay in hotels as well if you travel.
Good thinking, Mike. Yeah, please, guys, do something like that. What Mike had or what I did. Yeah, please do. Because, like I said, it's much like the UK here. If we can have firearms, we can protect ourselves in our home. But I would rather be in a court of law and go, well, he broke through 3 doors, and we were sheltering in our bedroom, and then then I had to open fire and kill him. That's all I got to add.
Oh, come on, Bob! Why didn't you just shoot him in the knees?
Yeah. You should have just shot him in the leg.
Yeah. Right.
But officer, I was so scared that I closed my eyes when I pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. There's 2 in his chest and 1 in his head.
And why did you keep shooting him? Well, because I was afraid for my life. Is why I emptied the weapon on him.
He was still moving.
Has anybody seen that video of the guy shooting the bear in his house? That popped up on my YouTube earlier.
I did.
He was going down. He was going down his staircase, and it was pitch black downstairs. And they turned the light on, and I think it was like an AR-15, and then you just see him shoot 3 times, and it's a bloody bear. There's a huge bear in his living room, and it actually charged for him. I don't know where he lived. I think it was in the States for sure, but it was somewhere like that.
Canada, U.S. We're loaded with wildlife that roam around the suburbs. It happens. But yeah,
see, we got the guns over here over in the UK. It's like, but officer, I swear he ran into the knife 87 times. He just kept running.
He was suicidal. I swear.
He fell onto my hammer. What can I say?
When it comes to sort of home defense and weaponry, that's probably a different topic altogether. But I've always heard the argument from the US point of view as well. I can protect myself because we have firearms. But the criminals have firearms as well.
Yes,
so
they do.
The criminals have firearms over here.
Some criminals do, but I would say that more than 99.9% of the time, a burglar breaking into my house is almost certainly not going to have a gun. That's almost guaranteed. They have a screwdriver or a knife or some
Yeah.
other tool, but he's not going to have a gun. You know, whereas in the United, if I lived in Seattle, I would just assume everybody had a gun. And you know, so you have that different kind of dynamic. It's like,
But
well,
still
I've got the
movie
gun
like
to.
where, you know, 5 guys break into your little bungalow in the suburbs. You know, you're just an average Joe. You got nothing special. And they come in with guns. No, the guys with guns, they're not going after the average Parker Joe in his burbs. They're going after the jewelry stores, the banks, and the other big areas to make a whole lot of money. Yeah, it's the guys with the screwdrivers and the pry bars that are going after you.
Yeah, that's just as deadly. Just as deadly. You know,
it's actually more brutal when you think about it. I don't know about you guys, but if I was going to die from a weapon, I'd rather be shot than bludgeoned to death with a crowbar, you know, or a screwdriver.
You survive it and be worthless for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Yeah, brain damage from a crowbar if you survive the attack. Yeah.
What a cheery subject.
Yeah, well, but yeah, I think the best advice to get from experience here, guys, is if someone is sneaking around, and don't talk to them. Just stand your ground and don't say one word, and don't move. Don't leave your post. Stand there at parade rest and don't move.
On the topic of different behaviours to look out for in SHTF, it's probably well, if it's a case of the behaviours you're seeing is people starting to gather, congregate as such, the question would be, if it's in your area, do you join them or do you avoid it? It could be strength in numbers, or it could be asking for trouble.
I would probably avoid it, because if you join them, you can get in trouble with the law enforcement, and you don't want that. So,
but if it's SHTF and we're without rule of law,
but law always comes back. It always does. And a dead man is still a dead man.
Yeah. So if the law, when it goes back to normal, and you in the SHTF join that group, you can be held responsible for what they done. And so
I mean, I agree with you. I just wanted to put it out there, pose it as devil's advocate sort of thing. Like, what would you do in that kind of situation?
I would avoid also, Mike. You know,
I think I would have to recon it a lot before I considered anything else.
There was this reminds me of back in 2001. And I think it was Argentina during the economic collapse there. They had a severe economic collapse in 2001, and their rule of law was terrible. It was obliterated, and groups of people formed their own little law enforcement groups, like Neighborhood Watch, but they kept on ramping it up to the point where they were basically just militias. And I actually got to the stage where some of these militias were kind of at odds with each other. And then they started forming boundaries, and then territories, and then resources and hierarchies. And before you knew it, they were gangs. So neighborhood watches suddenly became gangs. And then they had their own little rule of law going on in these little areas. So the people who were part of it, there's an argument to be said, well, you know, if there's a violent mob running around terrorizing people, you're probably better off from a personal point of view being part of the violent mob. To some extent, yes, but you know, like you were saying there, that could be very short term lived and very much turn back on you. We've seen that during major conflicts as well, where people were saying, I was just doing what I was told, honestly.
This is the thing, and we are so watched now. I think Patriot, was it, that said, Pilgrim said, there are cameras everywhere now.
Yes, they are.
And I mean, you guys have a rough idea, Bob and Mark, how big the UK is?
Oh yeah.
How many CCTV cameras do you think?
About 3 to 8 million.
Italy and
probably at least one camera per capita for that whole, even just in London.
In 2020,
on every corner.
In 2020, it was 5.2 million.
Yeah.
Wow. Now the estimates 5 years later are 21 million cameras in the UK.
So you got to think about
5.2 is the official figure when it was done as like a count, but that's the estimates in 5 years' time, the growth of that. This includes people's Ring doorbell cameras and stuff like that, people's individual cameras, but they're still watched. They can still be tapped into. They're still cloud-based.
Yep.
So think about this. There's that many cameras. Now you understand why these data centers keep getting built everywhere, and they're massive because they are storing everything. You could literally go, I could go, well, somebody could, some government agency could probably go to that. I'm just going to pick 2 street names in London, the corner of 5th and Broadway in downtown London. And they could probably pull up the entire live feed from 15 years ago and watch it nonstop. That's the kind of data that they're storing on everybody, even the stuff that we're talking about right now. You really think that this is, it's not getting stored somewhere? Oh, this shit's getting stored somewhere.
I worked for a software company that developed ANPR technology, so number plate recognition. We sold to the States. We sold to the New York bus, the people that run the New York buses and stuff like that. But even then, and that was 10 years ago, we could type a number plate in, and within seconds, got a full track of where that's been, where it is now, where it's heading to, based on tapping into all these different cameras. And that was 10 years ago. Yep. We were only just introducing YOLO, which is software you only look once, and that recognizes man, dog, cat, and stuff like that. Yeah. So it recognizes people. You now add AI to that, add quantum computing to that. It's going to be Minority Report in no time. You're going to walk through the airport and the adverts are going to go, "Hello, Bob, do you need some more cream for this?" Well, the other, you know what I mean? It's going to recognize you just walking past.
Yeah, I would go back to the original statement, the shadow, when I spoke about joining a group. That those groups are what stopped the BLM and Antifa from spreading out, because they left Seattle and they went out into the suburbs probing.
Yeah.
And people were out in front of their houses. Now, would I join a group? Because I live on a cul-de-sac like you do, Mike. If my neighbors were at the end of the cul-de-sac or on one side of the cul-de-sac and I know them, that would be the only group I would join, because maybe they had someone come over their fence and try to rob. So that would be the only time I would join a group, to protect our families. If I know them, if it's a group of people I don't know, I ain't going nowhere near them.
I was saying this the other day. We talk about sometimes people romanticize mutual assistance groups, and me and Alan might go off and go camping together somewhere in Scotland and train and stuff like that. But if it all hits the fan tomorrow, there's hundreds of miles separating us. To say that we're in a mutual assistance group is not very realistic in that situation. Your mag, whether you like it or not, is your immediate neighbours, is your immediate people around you, or you're on your own. That's your choices.
Yeah. Unless
you can get a designated point and they'll eventually get there, even then it's going to take time. Your immediate mag is the people around you. So know thy neighbour. Know thy neighbour.
Correct. Yeah.
Don't love them, just know them.
Just know them.
Yeah, recognize them at least. Yeah.
Love them, don't get caught.
It's definitely easier if you're in a small community, like a village or a very small town. It tends to be the bigger the place, the less likely you are to know your neighbours. Which is all over about this issue. I'm getting harassed by fruit flies in here as well, which really annoying.
They're everywhere, all over the country. We are.
I stupidly left my window. I left my window open, But
yeah.
Well,
almost off grid. Grandma asked a very good question. What are some of the different behaviors to look out for in an SHTF scenario?
I would say the same stuff you look out for in peace times, right, Bob?
Yeah, and the individuals who tried to get into my house, almost all of them were riding a BMX bike with a small backpack on their back. If you see someone like that cruising around your area, your house, your property, watch it. That's some of the behavior you really want to watch out for.
Yeah. Again, as well, I go right back to what I was saying earlier about use the stereotyping to profile. I would be more concerned by 2 or 3 teenage boys or men in their 20s hovering around than I would be if an elderly couple sort of
true,
picking raspberries along the line or something, and most people would be, but because, like I was saying earlier, we're conditioned now to say, no, I don't want to be accused of being some sort of ism, so I'm going to just walk into this elevator with these 2 massive fully grown bodybuilder men who look like they're going to kill me at any second. Don't do that. use the common sense.
That scary man down the alley might identify as a young 7-year-old girl. It's fine.
Yeah, that's it.
Like you said something earlier. You were talking about, checking out other people. It's like, they're going to have to be scoped out for a while. Well, guess what? You just turned into the person we're watching for. You're out there by yourself, scoping around just to check out the neighboring compound, whatever.
Yeah,
to see
I'm the risk.
Yeah,
and they see you out there. You're done, dude. So this is a difficult thing. I said it earlier. I think it was right before you got on. I went over that whole thing. It's difficult.
I kind of, without going round and borrowing a cup of sugar, any neighbour steps out of his house, I say hello. I acknowledge so at least they'll know a face in that situation more than anything else. I don't go out there to make friends, don't go socialising with them, but I always make an effort to say hello and stuff like that because, like I say, they're going to be your immediate surrounding people and stuff like that. So my neighbour that's literally attached to me, I've spoke to a little bit more because obviously there's going to be something there, like if he's attached to me when it all happens, sort of thing. But other than that, I kind of let my face known, so if they see me skulking, hopefully they'll say, "Oh, it's just that crazy guy with all that camping gear and camo just walking around. It's fine."
He's just looking for a camp spot. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prepper for the Ages says they all the jailed criminals. They say they avoid houses with dogs and or nosy neighbors.
Nosy neighbors, yeah. Most important, yeah.
Yeah.
Be aware.
Very
be
true.
aware. That's why I have posted videos of setting up cameras and motion sensor detectors, driveway alarms, all that. And I've gotten comments over the years going, well, if you fortify your house, then you're making yourself a target. No.
Opposite.
No.
If you do it the proper way, the correct way, but if you do it the wrong way, you would definitely be the target.
There's quite a few videos here on YouTube. Just type in your search block, interview with a criminal, and most of them come out of the States here. Interview with a burglar. Most of them are filmed in the jail with law enforcement filming it. And every single one of them said the same thing. If there's a house that's hardened, either with a dog, with fencing, with cameras, they're going to avoid that house and they're going to find an easier target. Then that's just their nature. Period.
It's opportunist. That's in peace times as well as SHTF. And they did a study about this, and it's also a psychological thing. And there was an area that was having house burglaries in the UK, and it was quite a rural area. It's a really nice houses, big houses. They come from a worse area to the nicer area because they know they're going to get better stuff. And some of the people that had never been robbed wasn't because of ornate huge security. It's because their front lawn had a small chain link fence around it, and the other ones didn't. And it was a psychological thing, even though they could have stepped over it. Because that one was fenced and the other one wasn't, they were drawn to the one that wasn't.
Yes. Yep.
There goes that CR. I read his comment on the side. I got a lot of respect for CR here. I fuck with him, but convex mirrors. I just looked on Amazon. There's a bunch of them. The mirrors that you see inside of a supermarket. I never knew what those mirrors were called. Thank you, CR. You rock, man. I think I'm going to get a couple of those. So when I'm sitting out on the back deck, I can just look up and see if anyone's on the side of the house.
Yeah, something as simple as a security light on your house.
Yeah,
a motion light that comes on.
My old house, before we could afford it, a friend of mine worked for ADT Security. I just called him up. I was like, hey, can I get some stickers? He's like, absolutely. He gave me a whole bunch of ADT stickers. I stuck them on every window on the lower level of my house. Never had a problem. Neighbors got broke into. I didn't. They see a sticker that says ADT or whatever security. Yeah. They just move on. They're like, okay, I don't need this aggravation. Let me go find someone that doesn't have that. And then we had a dog anyway. So now I have a German Shepherd. I have a sign on the front of my house. There's no trespassing, beware a dog. And of course, no soliciting. And what do I get? All the political idiots trying to ring the bell, which I disabled for my mother-in-law years ago. I just never hooked it back up. And then they start pounding on the door because they hear the dog barking and figure I can't hear the knocking on the door because the dog's barking. What the hell's wrong with you? And I got cameras on them, and I recorded, and I threw a couple on Facebook on one of the political sites. I said, hey, here's what your people do. And the sign is clearly visible on my camera. And, of course, I got immediately that video got taken down. I got banned off his site and stuff, or his page. Not that I cared. What's that? Yep.
Those
Bob,
are great for a
Bob,
fence.
this is why I shouldn't come on here. Last time, Bob made me buy these.
There you go. Right on, dude. Right
so we've got.
on.
I
Right
was
on.
shocked at how bright this thing is.
They are.
With so very little solar. So I've got 4 of them, and then not only that, Shadow also made me buy this. So this is not a lightsaber. This is a light. I can't demonstrate it like Shadow can because there's no gas in mine at the moment. But yeah, every time I come on with you guys, it costs me a fortune.
Well,
it proves we're always learning. It proves we're always learning.
Or if you live near me, because I'd be selling you freeze-dried food all day long.
Here you
but
go.
I wouldn't be hungry, Mark. But I wouldn't be hungry.
That's right.
I got 2 tabs open right now on Amazon. One is on the convex mirror, so that's CR's fault. Yeah, and I'm going to present something with you guys here, something that I've used for years.
Just before you present, on the convex mirrors, please check for any stores closing down in your area as well. Okay. Do you know you have a closing down sale and everyone's going buying the clothes or whatever's on stock? Go find the manager. Go find the manager, ask him about his mirrors and his cameras, because he'll sell you anything. And we got 3 of them big convex mirrors, and I give the guy a $5 as a token gesture. He just wanted rid.
Okay, I'm sharing out something with you there. I swear by these guys. I swear by them. The 2. Let me make it larger so you can see it a little bit better. The 2 smaller ones are the transmitter. The larger one is a receiver. Please get some of these. You can use them indoors and outdoors. But even if you live in a small apartment and you can't do anything to construct anything, you can set the transmitter on your stairwell or in the front of your living room, and you go to bed, and you keep the receiver next to your bed. As soon as something's moving around, it'll chime, and the little red light on the top blinks. Trust me, guys. That's when I lived in that horrible place last time, a few years ago. I had those all around my house, and it saved my butt because we had one junkie walking between the houses. It was a woman who was in a hysterical rage, and I was warned before she came past my garage door. Dude, she was carrying a 10-inch butcher knife, out of control on meth, screaming at the top of her lungs. And then I looked, and she passed by my garage door, and I saw her, and I went, "Oh God, honey, just don't stop, because she's carrying a butcher knife, screaming, out of her mind, and armed." And thank God she just kept walking. But if she hooked right and she came into my garage, you know what I'm going to do. Yeah. You know what I'm going to do. But get some of these driveway alarms, guys. I swear by them. They're a godsend. I'm glad to see you got some of those lights. They work really well, don't they?
I was impressed. I thought I'd have to put 2 at the front where the porch is area because there's no light there. 1 illuminated it, Well, I had to move it slightly away because it was too bright, if anything.
What I've even done too, Mike, is I put one right over top of our front door so that when my missus leaves early and it's still dark, she opens the front door and it lights up the whole front porch, and she doesn't fall, and her pathway from the house to the car is lit up too, because all it takes is you got to listen to your wives, guys. When she said, "I don't like that dark corner when I'm going to work in the morning," bingo, be the freaking hero. Go get some of those things and screw them in, and it puts your lady's mind at ease.
And I don't know what they cost you guys over there, but anyone watching from the UK, for $12.99, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
And I'm shocked at the solar, like I say, because the LEDs are so bright. It's just really good.
I've got a 4-pack more of them in my house right now, Mike. I've got some in my house overseas, and I'm gonna bring 4 more, and I think I'll give as gifts to the family overseas.
Yeah.
Here, it just here, I love you and I care about you. Don't fall down in the dark, But they make a great gift. Miss Brittany, I gave her a 6-pack of those as a housewarming present. Yeah. At first, she was thrilled. Oh, girl, she's a girly girl. Oh, What? Solar lights? It's like, you have a 1-year-old daughter. These are safer than candles. Oh, you're right. Just something to think about, guys. Good
There
on
you
you,
go.
Mike. Good on you.
No, appreciate it. I mean, I think, although really cool, I appreciate Shadow's suggestion as well, because that's going to make lighting the cigars at a prepper meet much easier.
Yeah, definitely. And burn some eyebrows.
Yeah,
off,
just
too.
nothing too close.
Yeah. Yeah, these mirrors, I am interested. See, that's one of the reasons why I love getting together with other prepper people, because we're sharing ideas. And yeah, it costs us, but hey, man, if something saves your ass, it saves your ass, you know?
Take me off the
Yeah.
big screen.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
these convex mirrors are reasonable. What is it? A 12-inch mirror is $27. And yeah, oh man,
Check the reviews as well, Bob, because I've had
Okay,
some of
I
them
will
where you
do.
can hardly see. You know what I mean? It's almost like a
Uh,
cheap plastic instead of a glass. So
I
check
will
the
do that.
reviews. Yeah.
I will do that. Yeah. Damn you, CR! You're making me spend more of my pension money. Yeah, less blind spots. Yeah, very good. Rock on, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the driveway alarms are really good. I was trying to. I've got a driveway alarm which I use as an actual alarm in my shed. I was trying to look up the name of it there.
Yeah.
I think it's called ProTrack or something. It's completely wireless. It just takes AA batteries. It has a receiver, and then you can place it anywhere. The distances on them are huge.
Yeah.
And the way I use it, I've got a shed in my back garden, which is where I keep my motorbike and some other camping stuff and things like that. And I've just got it, like I've got a fridge in there as well because I do some deer stalking. And I have it on top of the fridge facing the door. So if somebody went into the shed, it would activate the receiver, which is in my bedroom. So it's just like an alarm. You know, and you can position them all around, because I don't exactly know how they work, but it's not motion they pick up. I think it's heat or something, because you know, a tree waving in front of it doesn't set it off, but the heat of a car engine does, or a person walking past it seems to activate it. I had it at the front of my door for a long time, but it annoyed me because it used to go off every time the postman and stuff showed up. But it was out there for over a year and a half on one set of AA batteries. I had like 4 AA batteries in it. And it lasted the whole time. It never went down.
See, the ones I got I really like, because you can have them as just on-off security lights, but it's got a setting so it's really dim, and it only comes on during the night. So you've got a constant light, which is like a security thing anyway. And if somebody gets close, it triples the brightness. So it's still a sensor and it's still a security light, but it's just also constant ambient light.
And show you a little more here, Mike. You see that that's one of those lights up inside of my garage, right?
Yeah.
This is where I store my cooking firewood, as you can see. And they've got some that the solar panel is on a wire. I've got 2 of those. The solar panels are on the outside of my garage, and the lights are right here in the center of my garage, right there. They work, man, but they only work when the sun goes down. And if I move here at my desk, bing, the lights come right on. Yeah, think outside the box. But those motion sensor, the driveway alarms, I've got on both sides of our house, and I leave them exposed right out there in the open. So if anyone's peeking over my fence, he sees different lights, and now what's that? That's a sensor of some kind. I'm going to the neighbors. This guy's ready.
There's no point buying security stuff and then hiding it. The best form of security is them just being deterred by it, right? So
the ones I've got, a red light comes on when you walk past it. It's like a red light that comes on. Yeah, I think the way they're actually supposed to be used, like from the YouTube video, is if you've got a very long driveway, you can put like one right at the bottom, and then one quarter of the way up, then one halfway up, and then the receiver has different tones. So you can it actually says like detection 1, detection 2.
1, 2. He's
the zones. So you,
Yeah.
you know somebody's coming up your driveway or
Correct,
something. And
yeah.
people actually use them for hunting as well, which I didn't realize, where you set up sensors in a perimeter and you know, a deer goes past, you would know that something had detected, something that tripped that sort of that motion alarm. I think they would only use that in the States. I actually think that might be illegal in the UK to do that. So I don't advocate anybody do that in the UK if you're a hunter.
Everything we say here in the UK with our current government is all theoretical.
I've probably broke 10 laws. I just want to make it clear I'm an actor. None of what I say is actually me. It's just that it's this persona. This is a persona. I'm playing a character right now.
I live in London, so no. Well, we joke, but that's what it's getting like over here.
Yeah, the self-censorship is a real thing here, unfortunately.
Yeah. You guys, we do the fireside chat on a Sunday, not for the next 2 weeks because I'm doing my cycle, but we literally will talk on the fireside for an hour, hour and a half about prepping topics. At the end of it, when we end stream, we're all still in the room. That's when we really talk about prepping, when we're not censored by people watching.
Yeah, in fact, while we're talking here, I'm going to spend some more money because I'm going to get some new driveway alarms. The ones I've had are about 3 or 4 years old. They are Chinese, no offense, but they only last, most things last 2 or 3 years. So I'm going to have a precaution and buy another set of them. Place your order right now. So I'm getting some more of those. Yeah. Anyway, I'm done.
Yeah, the ones I've got, I found them. They're called Guardline wireless driveway alarms. They are more expensive. They cost, they're sort of in the £69 price range, but they are amazing, and they'll survive outdoors for years if you have them outdoors.
I think I'll put one of them in my tool shed also.
Yeah, it's a good way. That's a good way of doing it.
There you go. Yep.
These were Temu specials, right? So they cost next to nothing. The Chinese, they are what they are. And this is the bulb that comes with it, right? This is not a security light. This is not going to light up the whole room. What these are for is if we have a power cut, we've got kids in different rooms. I can literally hang this out the window and the wire runs in. They've got a hook on the roof and they have just a little light comfort sort of things. Also, they can see so they don't trip over in their own room. And yeah, they cost next to nothing. You could deploy or keep them packed up very easily. So
very good.
Has it got a battery attached to it, Mike?
It's got it's. I don't think it's got.
There must be a
yes.
Yeah. Because
it's got a battery attached, and then it's got the charge point in there.
I was wondering if it's
That's
just
been in the
solar.
drawer for 6-7 weeks, and look how bright that is. So there you go.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah.
I'll let you know, guys. I think one night when the wife's at work and the house is quiet, I'm going to do a simulation video of cooking with using just those solar lights. I've got enough of them in the house to where I can go from room to room, and they'll tick and they'll turn on. They'll just watch out for that. But I'm going to be wearing my H harness like I would be in an SHTF, with a 45 on my hip. So don't get scared, But I think I'll set up my propane stove.
Bob's bringing the fear.
Yeah. And I think I'll do that here shortly. Yeah.
That's cool. I did like a blackout cooking series for a while. It wasn't so much the simulation of different rooms, so I just had like a candle lit cooking with a gas stove, like a camping stove in the house. We're using preps and stuff like that, simulating what you do in a blackout.
Yeah.
There was a big studio light behind me as well. You don't see that, but just so you can see what I was doing. But yeah, they're cool. I love stuff like that, so I'll look out for that one. But
yeah, I want to. It's part of learning because, I've gotten quite a few of those little lights, Mike, and I want to see by actual use what is the best place to put a couple of those after I start to cook. Because to me, my priority is I want to stay inside the building as much as I possibly can.
Of course, yeah.
I'll do one video with cooking with my propane stove, and then I'll do another video soon about cooking over my paint can fire stove, you know.
Yeah. You've just reminded me of something I've not packed for tomorrow. Let me write that down.
Yeah. I would urge any of you guys, when you do a test run on things like this, post it up, man. People will learn from you, you know. Yeah, you're hungry now, CR. I can't feed you, CR. I just spent all my money on more gadgets.
Here's something of a question for the rest of you guys. In an SHTF situation, you see somebody who you believe to be a prepper or a survivalist, and he's maybe got that sort of, he's maybe wearing camouflage, or he's got a particular look or whatever.
He's wearing one of those t-shirts from my merch shop. Yeah,
he literally says "I'm a prepper" on his t-shirt. Do you approach that guy? Do you stay clear of him? Do you go and say, "Look, I'm also sort of in that type of community. Maybe we can help each other out here"? Do you see him as a potential threat?
That's what Mike brought up before, and earlier I said it, and I said it. You see somebody, that person is you, walking around looking like a prepper or whatever. I don't know who the hell you are. Yeah. Why would I approach you? I mean, my inherent bias kicks in of, I don't care what color you are, I don't know you. Yeah. And just because you look like a prepper or I look like a prepper, the other one, now if somebody approaches me, I'm immediately gonna be suspicious. Period.
Yeah.
So I mean, unless you happen to bump into each other in some kind of a scenario somewhere, and you kind of make eye contact, and you kind of give a little nod, and and then 3, 4, 5 days, weeks later, you bump into each other again in a similar scenario, hunting or something. Then maybe, hey, how are you? Are you doing okay? Yeah, I'm doing good. Okay, good. I hunt here too. Great. Don't shoot me. Okay, I won't. That type of thing. Yeah, and it would take you can't build a relationship by, hey, how you doing? I'm a prepper. Are you a prepper? Yeah, wouldn't you like to be a prepper? Be a prepper. Be a prepper.
Well, no, I think it would all be circumstance, right? If it's after the fact and it's somebody local going in and out of a house, and I recognized him as that kind of person, he might be somebody that I would approach if I was thinking of forming a mag anyway. But if it's just a random guy coming through, he could have just murdered a prepper and stole his clothes for all I know. And he's looking for the next victim.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with my normal my normal procedure. I don't talk to anybody if they're milling around my house. I stand my ground. Don't converse with them. Just stand your ground.
Yeah,
that's me.
Well, it kind of the reason I was thinking about it is because it's the common accusation thrown at us online is, okay, so you're a prepper, so you have all this stuff. You've got stores of food and munitions and weapons and all this kind of stuff. You're my target now. I'm going to be the bigger guy and come and take your stuff. Or you fall into the other stereotype, which is he's obviously a loner, dangerous nutcase. I should stay clear of him, And there was one time where I entered into a bit of a thought experiment. This was actually, it wasn't on YouTube. It was just among sort of like-minded people on a chat one day, where it was playing devil's advocate, where it was a case of, as a survivalist, should I be the aggressor? A survivalist is somebody who's more likely to be more in tune with weaponry and tactics and the vulnerabilities of people. All of us right now are talking about the vulnerabilities of people and how to avoid strong people. But on the other end, we also know who the vulnerable people are, and you will get bad people. You will get bad preppers and bad survivalists who think these are now all my targets. This I'm going to live off them. I knew you'd have something to say, Mike.
No, I was waving at Daryl because he said,
all right. Well, you were going to chime in and say, no.
Well, I mean, as a survivalist, right, you're still, your goal is the same as a prepper, right? It's number one rule, don't die. So as a survivalist, if you saw another prepper, somebody who looked potentially secure, potentially armed, surely the instinct should be, let's move on to somebody less.
Yeah. I mean, my I wanted to hear what you guys said, but I mean, my instinct would be to avoid preppers and avoid survivalists, unless it was part of a pre-planned sort of mag. Unless it was like this, where you got to know each other. And if I ran into somebody at work and I was in the canteen and we started talking about camping or survival, and I suddenly became apparent that we were both into the same thing, I would probably become more friendly with that person, and that's kind of how it happens. That has yet to happen, by the way. but I think if I was just to be aware of the fact that, oh yeah, there's that guy who lives sort of up the street, and he's, I see him, he's a hunter and a fisher, and he's got gear, and he's got a big 4x4 and stuff. I would probably stay clear of him, to be honest. That would be my.
But I mean, it's good to know, and it's good. That's a good point on observation skills. So I'm in a much more urban environment than I was before, where I am now, and I've gone past 2 apartments where, for some reason, in Manchester, the trend is to stock your bottled water, put it on your balcony to keep it cool. So I'm going past apartments where I can see like 120 bottles of water out on a balcony. It's like,
oh boy,
if that's not a target, I don't know what is.
The only thing you can see on the outside of my house is security system. That's it. None of my neighbors know what I do in here. I don't talk to my neighbors because of caution.
Yeah.
But here's a good suggestion for you fellas. I like that coffee shop that I go to. I talk about it all the time. That is a good place to go to gather intelligence on what's going on locally, because everyone who goes there are local people. I've met a couple people who are into preparedness, and I've gotten good suggestions from them. But be real cautious who you talk to about preparedness. But it's a good way to gather local intel about where the hot spots are at. Are the junkies back in town, etc. Just talk casual, not in a bar, because now your mind is altered because you're drinking. But in a coffee shop, just sip a cup of coffee. Oh yeah, you had somebody come over your fence. Oh, sorry to hear that. That bing right there. They got a bad one in town.
Yeah.
That's
always gathering intel.
That's as close to being in a mag that I'm going to get.
I suppose the thing about gathering intel as well, you could do this sort of in the peacetime that as well as the SHTF thing, is there's indicators of like political allegiances and things. So it could be anything. It could be something like an NRA sticker on the back of your car, or I support Trump, or I support whoever. Or
Second Amendment, whatever.
That gives you an indication roughly as to what that person's likely to not only believe in and support, but are they likely to be armed? Are they likely to be more of a prepper mindset, or are they less likely? And it goes the other political way as well. I don't want to pick on one group, but if I was to see somebody with for example, there's riots and stuff going on in the UK over certain political issues. If I seen somebody with a Palestinian flag, or some sort of, I don't know, you get these animal rights people with their flags and stuff as well. That at least tells me something about them. It tells me what they're likely to have materialistically. It tells me what they believe in. It tells me the kind of people they're looking to target. I know what side I'm on based on what they're presenting to the world.
That used to be even more obvious before they started telling people they couldn't fly flags.
Yeah. Well, that's but I mean, even in some ways, that kind of tells you something as well. If you American guys don't realize this, there's a bit of a trend going on in the UK just now where people are raising English flags in England and Scotland flags in Scotland.
You're racist. That makes you a racist.
I mean, obviously, if you're English and you raise an English flag in England, you're some sort of racist, Or I mean, I'm very patriotic. I've got Union flags and Scottish flags and all that kind of stuff. But there are people who believe that puts you in a particular side.
Yeah, but the problem is we've got a generation of people that think the best way to avoid subjects is like avoiding our history. So the St. George's Cross has been used all the way since the Crusades. So then they associate it with that. They've had the same in the USA. They had the Confederate flag got taken down from absolutely everywhere. And for a lot of people, it's nothing to do with hate. It's to do with heritage.
Oh, no,
Right?
they tried to make you believe that it had to do with slavery. That's what it was. It had everything to do with slavery.
Exactly. Don't ignore all the other reasons for the law, for the war. Just let's concentrate on that one. But it's not. It's and tearing down statues and stuff like that. Or you're not erasing history. It still happened.
No, you're ignoring it. And it's going to repeat itself.
Yeah, exactly. But they have the same sort of thing. I had a Confederate flag, so don't judge me and instantly think, oh no, I was part of the American Civil War Society in the UK, and I was 43rd North Carolina. What do you want me to fly if it's not historically accurate? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good point.
That's right, Hendo.
It is what it is.
Correct.
Well, really, I mean, sometimes it is just an easy way of gathering intel. That was the point I was getting to. You know, if I seen somebody, I mean, it's one thing to have, you know, an English flag or an American flag or something in your front door. If I seen somebody with a swastika outside their front door, I'd be thinking he's either out of his mind or, you know, what's going on here?
Or he's just about to go to a World War II reenactment because he's a German officer. So you don't know. You still can't judge these things.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's that, but having it in your
Good to see you.
Because he's a German officer. So you don't know. Oh, I hate my own voice. Quick, Daryl, turn it off.
Who's got the background noise going? Daryl.
There he goes. He got it. Okay. But at that coffee shop, I talked to that retired Seattle firefighter, and I showed him a picture of those Stop the Bleed kits that I was donating to churches. And he took a moment, and he's got all that in his shop and all that. He's got everything on hand. He knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And he gave me some tips on how to use it. He said how I plug a wound, which he's done many times. He takes those 4-inch gauze squares and he twists it into like a stick. Then he opens up the skin and pushes that stick of gauze down as deep in the wound as he can get it. It's like that simple little, because all I thought of is maybe putting it over the wound. No. You want to shove that gauze inside there. To stop the bleed.
Especially if it's a large wound, you've got to pack it out.
You've got to pack it. Yeah.
Hey, Howard, good to see you.
Hi, Daryl, how are you?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Hi, Shadow.
Good evening.
Thanks for having me on tonight. Hi, Bob. Hi, Mike, Alan.
Hello.
Jeff, everyone in the chat. CR. You're fired, CR. Just before you think about it, you know, don't even think about it, Bob would say.
Let's strike one. Strike one. Strike
preemptive
two.
Strike. Sorry, CR. No, man. Where would we all be without CR?
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's a good guy. That's why I mess with him, because I respect him. And that's why I mess with him. That's just my method, you know.
See, just staying on the topic, I reminded myself when I was talking about flags there, and I see in the comments a lot of people didn't know what I was talking about. But another thing to look out for and avoid are symbols that are being left beside buildings in SHTF situations, or roadways. It doesn't matter what the symbol is. It could be a totally made up one, like a circle with a cross in it, or a triangle or whatever. That can be indications of something else going on there. Targets, territory areas, territorial markings. Something's going on in a particular area, so that would be something to look out for as well, I think.
On that, also know the ones that your government, your law enforcement, and people like FEMA use when they put a cross on a house and they put the numbers in. Know what everything stands for, because it's always good to know as well.
Yeah, Alan, what I do when I walk through a parking lot, I go to a coffee shop every day and chit-chat. When I'm walking through the parking lot going to the coffee shop, I look at bumper stickers and flags that they're flying on their cars. And I'd seen a couple of them. I didn't recognize what the symbology meant, and I went home and I looked it up. And one was kind of scary because this guy was a right-wing extremist group. I was like, oh, they're just as scary as the lefties, you know? Yeah. And so I looked it up online, and oh, God, I'm going to avoid that, man.
Good to know that that's somebody in your perimeter, though, right?
Perimeter, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, but it is a classic indicator of certain things. I mean, guns, for example, aren't massively common in the UK. I think all of us know that, but people do have them. I'm a hunter. I own guns. And one thing I do every year is I take out insurance. I have to take out insurance every year to hunt on land. And the two main groups of insurance in the UK, for example, one's called BACS and one's called SACS. SACS is the Scottish one. And I can't remember what it stands for. It's like the Scottish Association for something or other, right? And they give you stickers every time you renew the card. I never stick that on my car. Because all you're doing is saying, guess what I carry in my car sometimes.
Correct.
Guess what I have in my house sometimes.
I have no stickers on any of our cars. None. Zero. I don't want to be identified as this.
See, I do. So this logo here is the Prepping Network logo, and I've got small stickers about that big, and I have them on my car and the missus' car. Mm-hmm. Purely based on if she's ever stuck and somebody's in the area and I say, can you go and help? They can identify that. People might not know me, they might not know her, they can identify that. Also, the same fact was if she was out, say she was up in Scotland for the week, something happens, she sees anybody with that same sticker, she knows they're part of the network and she can get assistance that way. It doesn't say anything on it. It's not something you could really Google and think we were crazy ass gun owners or anything like that. It's just something to identify.
Yeah,
so I kind of for it in a way.
I think religious symbols are another thing as well, especially if you're part of a religion that becomes a target. I would be cautious about that. So just throwing it out there, if you were in an area that suddenly being Catholic was dangerous, you might not want to have any kind of Catholic symbology on your car or on your front door. That might have been something that in peacetime you were very proud of and you were showing that off. That's fine or whatever. But if you suddenly started becoming the target for whatever reason, I'm just making up any religion. That can be any religion. But I would then, out of caution, remove all that kind of stuff. I would try to not hide it. If I was a Jewish person and suddenly I was in a neighborhood where people were being hostile towards me, I wouldn't suddenly unjew myself. I wouldn't hide the fact, but I would not draw the attention to myself. I mean, why bother? You have to be more cautious than anything else.
I fly two flags on my house. One is the American flag that's on the front of the house, and in case you guys in the UK aren't aware of it, when you fly an American flag, there's a sub meaning to it. That means the sub meaning is armed homeowner. Okay. In the back of my house, I have a U.S. Air Force flag. So if anyone's targeting my house, he's an armed homeowner and he's a veteran.
And he knows how to fucking use it.
Yes, I do. Uh-huh. Go to the neighbors. Don't come here.
Is that what that means? I didn't know that. I didn't know. So the American flag at the front of your house, that means you're an armed homeowner. Is that what that means?
It's a sub-meaning. And I'm glad to say that there's a half a dozen of us on this cul-de-sac who've got an American flag flying out in front of our house. Those are the guys I know I can connect with.
Yeah. You don't see a lot of, apart from right now because it's a thing, but you don't really see a lot of flags outside people's houses in the UK.
Unless it's the World Cup.
Yeah, unless it's a sporting event or something. But I've always actually been jealous of that fact. Because I always thought, we're just not very patriotic.
No,
I want to be a bit more patriotic about it, but we're a lot more subdued in the UK about that stuff.
I loved it, honestly. When I went to Texas, they're slightly different because they fly the state flag above the national flag.
Oh, okay.
But the patriotism is infectious. It's infectious, and I love it. I love it. And if I didn't meet that ex-wife that long time ago, I'd have emigrated.
Yeah. Well, I had a situation years ago when we came into this house a couple of years ago, and it's our place. We can do what we want. And I was ordering an American flag, and my wife is Filipino, in case you guys don't know. And I said, should I order a Filipino flag too? She goes, no, American, no, don't do that. I'm an American now, and I want to stand underneath your flag. I was like, Rock on, baby.
Like it,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
it. The thing is, with that's the thing. I mean, what do you guys think, Bob and Mark, of the stuff going on over here? Whereas if I fly the flag of my country, it's taken as I am now right wing.
That's
So
just
I've
nuts,
seen it,
man.
and yes, I take every bit of news media with a grain of salt. I see it on the alt news, I see it on the regular news, but not much on the
Yeah.
regular news. And I'm like, it makes sense the way if the things I am learning by the sources I am watching, and take that with a big grain of salt, it wouldn't surprise me that for them to say, "Oh, if you're hanging a flag, you're a racist." That's why I blurted that out earlier.
Bushcraft family. Good
That's
job.
pretty much how it's
Same in
going.
America. It's like you put up an American flag, and now all of a sudden you're a MAGA supporter. It's like, no,
Yeah,
because
I think
make
it's-
America
yeah.
great. It's like, no, I believe in my country, or as much as I can, and I support. I'll support it as best I can, and the values. But if somebody's going to be biased against me because I have an American flag, my personal opinion, there's something going on with them. I don't want any part of them.
So they're almost outlawing flying the English flag, and it's just ridiculous in this country. It's got Christian symbolism with the cross on, and yet you're allowed to put any political flag up you want. If I hung a Labour flag or a Conservative flag or a Reform Party flag from my window, nobody would tell me to take it down.
No, you can hang,
And
you can
that's
hang a
got
rainbow
more
flag,
conflict
leave you alone.
involved than but a flag that's the union of a country. I mean, it's the Union flag behind Alan is not as bad, but even that's getting stigma as well now, right?
Yeah, that falls into, and Dear Love's going to love this one. He's like, I didn't think you're going to talk about that, but that falls more into New World Order stuff. They don't want any countries anymore. They want one big happy union, and they don't want you to be thought of as, you're from this country. Nope, we're all the world's people. That's all they want, and that seems. Yes, Dear Love. See, I can go there in certain respects.
No, that's good. No, but it's good. I just wanted to say it's embarrassing.
That is the people in charge are still. It seems like they're trying to do that. They don't want any country to fly their own flag. You can fly a UN flag anywhere you want. You're fine.
What they've done is they've done a good job on the programming. It's like they've created this world of cheerleaders. System of let's look at the people as the cheerleaders, and they're all holding the baubles. You know those fluffy things those girls hold? What are they called?
Pom-poms.
Pom-poms,
and they wave them around. So we've got the whole planet going. They got us all doing the Mexican wave one point. Remember the Mexican wave? So now they've got the whole world is doing the pom-pom dance, right? So when it suits them, in the World Cup, everybody can have a flag. Okay, your country, everyone's got a flag. There's no issue. Hey, I support Italy. Great. Yeah. Oh, and I support Chile. Welcome from Chile. And Mexico. Yeah, you got a big hat on. The mariachi hat. We support Mexico. Everybody's, the system is getting us into the country. And then when it doesn't suit them, it's, you mustn't have them flags. So they create a problem with the flags, and we're stupid because we jump when they say jump. We lie down when they say lie down. I mean, I'm not saying everybody. I mean, some of us who are trying to stay on the sanity path sort of look at it and think, what is going on now? What are they going to do next? What next? And whatever you can imagine is 10 times worse. And, and they get us all into this, what are things called again? Those bonbons.
Pom-poms.
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 P-O-M, yeah.
Yeah, so we need to stop doing the pom-pom dance and say, but sadly, people want food. So they would do anything for food, and it's so bad. And it's so sad to see people that were promised so much: pay your taxes, pay your mortgage, walk on the zebra crossing, stop at the red light, do the right thing, and everybody does the right thing, and we have to tolerate different prime ministers, each one saying the same thing. We're cleaning up the mess from the last government. That's why we haven't fixed the potholes. You know what?
They'll clean up those those red crosses on the mini roundabouts immediately, though.
Well, the thing is, we look at the 12 tribes back in the day. They all had a shield, but they made us lose our identity long time ago. It's not just something recent. This has been going on for a long time, where to the point that people totally lost who they are.
Yeah, identity politics. That's what you're getting at there. That's always been an area of contention. Even like Mike saying that the flag behind me isn't as contentious as, say, the England flag, which is ridiculous considering if you're in England, an English flag is just a flag. It's of that country. It makes perfect sense. The Union flag, I mean, that's the flag of the whole of the United Kingdom. The UK is a country that's made up of 4 countries, but having that in Scotland does actually say something slightly political on my side as well, because there are people in Scotland who reject that idea and want to be, they want to be their own thing and just have the Scottish flag. I personally like both, so I'm Scottish and British, and I'm very proud of that fact. But if I was in Northern Ireland, for example, that then can mean something else. It can also that can also tell me which religion I am, or so there are connotations to the same thing, even in the same country.
Which tribe we belong to?
Yeah, it's identity politics, really. And if you are the kind of person that has flags or bumper stickers or something like that, you're not doing it purely for yourself. You're doing it because you want other people to see it. That's the point of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so be very careful. We have to be very careful when it comes to being on the side, because as soon as you put yourself on what they've done is they're making you a target. They want people to become. They're weaponizing anything. Sorry to cut in there, but they want everybody. So as soon as you, for me, I don't do left. I don't do right. I don't support any particular football team. I do respect countries and borders. But at the same time, once you say what you said, I think it was you that said, Alan, symbols to watch out for symbols.
Yep.
I agree.
I mean, that's a big thing. When you said that, I was like, wow, that's actually a very, very big thing, because it's not about laws. It's about symbols. It's these are very big things. Obviously, if you see a satanic symbol, if you know what you're doing, you're going to say, I'm not going in that area. And these people do have symbols. We're dealing with corporations that do incorporate these. All right, Mike's going to he's pricked up his ears. But even things like square buildings. What's all that about? The compass, it's all, they're worshipping something, even through the corporations, through board meetings, through time, through going to work 9 to 5. It's all a form of worship. Everyone
worship the apple. Worship the apple.
What are those things called again? Pom-poms.
Yeah. I mean, you can reject all kind of symbology and thing. I mean, what is it? A country's just a pretend line on a map. Okay, all human beings are human beings. We all came from one place basically, and then we went to bits of the world.
They're important, though.
Of course, they're important. But when you boil it,
Scotland is important. China's important. Sweden is important. All of our identity is important. Our planet is important. And our brothers and sisters are important. Guardian would agree with that. And we like I think it was Mike said New World Order. Sorry, Alan, I'm gone. I'm shutting up.
I was literally just saying that the thing about some symbols and symbology, and whether it be flags or symbols or any of this kind of stuff, they are all just man-made inventions and creations, because we're territorial people, we're tribal in nature, and so if we're talking about SHTF type situations, that can become concentrated. It can actually get to the point where an individual street will suddenly become a territorial zone, and it might have its own flag and its own symbology and its own thing. And people are very susceptible to the idea of fighting for particular causes that have literally they could be centuries old, or they could have happened last week. I mean, it really is bizarre. I mean, I can refer to various movies where this has sort of been played out, or gangsters. I mean, you'll get youths in places like London or Birmingham who will literally kill each other over laying a claim to a particular housing estate in a city that they both live in. Yeah, that's bizarre to me, but to them it's important.
On that front, you're going to get people that want to follow that, though. We've always, as a people, we've wanted to follow symbols and flags all the time. It's the whole reason for having battle flags, was to follow that flag. there's people during the Civil War that would drop a life-saving rifle that could save them to make sure the colours stayed up. Yeah, being a colour bearer, being a flag bearer was an honour, and that always that symbolism is what they are willing to, you know, not do the rational thought of bullets are coming towards me, but I'm following that flag.
Yeah.
Even in Greece at one time they had a war because of icons. Even like symbolism. We're talking about symbols. In Greece they had literally had wars over icons. Should we have icons in the churches? The icon pictures of saints, of things that happen. Of Jesus, of maybe particular
like
scenes.
the depictions. Yeah.
So there's like symbolism of spiritual things. So in Greece they literally had a war over whether they should have symbol pictures in the churches or not. I'm thinking, it goes deep. So I mean, you pull out a picture, and then someone wants to kill you, because you've got a little icon or something, So like I said, if you in this SHTF situation, these like the symbols are very important in for some people. Like they're it's this they'll die for an ideology, and it doesn't even if it doesn't make sense. We've been so programmed and brainwashed to say, right, yes, it's like thinking you're doing a great cause by jumping over this trench. Yeah, okay, don't worry about the machine guns coming at you. Don't worry about the tanks, man. You're doing it for a cause, Come on.
Yeah.
Look at that flag up there, for your people. And you're like, yeah, I just saw my mate get his head blown off. Yeah, but like, there are many that just do it. Who remembers that film Conan the Barbarian? Where
yes.
I remember that one.
Conan was talking to the cult leader, and he's like, let me show my face so I can do some sort of...
I look just like that guy.
That guy, you remember he was the leader, the cult leader, and he's like, look, I'm the leader. They follow me, they'll do anything I say. Look, and he looks up, and there's a girl up on this cliff. He's like 100 feet up, and he's like, yes, and he just goes, jump.
Come to me. Yeah.
And was it come to me?
Yeah.
I'd be looking up her skirt if she's up on top of a cliff.
Oh, you didn't need to. The air did that on the way down, but she just jumped off at like 60 foot to her death with a giant snake at the bottom as well. But even in that, it's a good example of symbolism there in that film as well, Daryl, because it's the two infinity snakes coming over the top of a sun and moon is the symbolism they're following.
On the ambulance as well.
Yeah, there you go.
People will fight over, and they will die, and they will fight for things that seem, somewhat meaningless. I mean, you guys ever watched that movie Hamburger Hill, the Vietnam movie?
Yes, yeah.
Right, that was based on a true story, and that was literally about these Vietnam guys fighting over a hill, and it was brutal as hell, and loads of them died, and it was a pointless hill, and they got to the top, and then they're like, now what? And like, well, now we just move to the next hill.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
It's a mincer. They
Yeah.
kill him. Okay.
Well, that's why it was called Hamburger Hill, because it was literally making mincemeat out of them. So they named it Hamburger Hill.
That's one of the beliefs of war, is not to get something. It's just to keep sending our best against the other best and get rid of the best. I mean, that's one of the theories behind it, and not mine necessarily, but
yeah.
The purpose of that battle and many others in Vietnam was to bring them out of the tunnels and kill them, because we know they're underneath the ground, and it's hard to go underneath the ground and fight them on their own territory. Bring them up to the surface and drop cluster bombs on them and shoot them. That's the purpose of. And then we're going to go move to the next hill and do the same thing. That's why they did that.
Yeah. Madness. But it's the sheeple will always want something to follow. And if we have a complete collapse in any of our countries, and there is no rule of law and there's no government, how many leaders do you think will emerge? How many different?
Hundreds of
exactly. Yeah.
Can I tell you a little quick little story about Vietnam that I heard once? Really quick story. This general, he's getting his position, and his army soldiers were being fired upon from the other side, the Vietnamese, the bad guy side, right? So the American, well, who they say is the bad guy, you know, the other side might say you're the bad. Anyway, right? So they're getting fired upon in this position. So the general's getting a phone call to be told don't fire back, and the position that's firing to them is a massive gun on the Vietnamese, on the bad side. So they've got this top of the range, modern, massive gun. It's really doing a lot of damage. So this general's been told don't fire back. Cut a long story short, it turns out that gun belonged to Rockefeller.
So they just didn't want to damage the gun.
Here's the thing.
They were phoned. The general was phoned, and they told him don't fire back. He's saying that there's a big gun firing at my position, and he wanted to fire back, and he was told stand down. And the reason why he was told stand down, because it turns out that the big gun was owned by Rockefeller. Yeah. So, you know, the arms dealers, they're all intermixed. It's all a racket.
We're rolling out of the topic. We're rolling way away from the topic now. That was a quick story.
Yeah, we are.
Don't want the summary on it. Gotcha.
I just want to put this out there to anyone listening. Do you know who the largest standing army during the Vietnam War was? Everything that happened, they blame the Americans. Everybody does. Oh, they're incompetent, blah, 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 blah. Do you know who the largest standing army in the Vietnam War was?
Vietnamese, the people.
South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't even look into this. No, oh, it's all the Americans' fault. They didn't. No, dude, these South Koreans are animals. You don't want to fight them. They were the largest standing army in the Vietnam War.
Oh, we only wound up there because of the Gulf of Tonga, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole anyway.
Yeah, that goes off the topic. But
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Gentlemen, I'm going to have to say good evening because I set off early tomorrow. I've still got some preps to sort out before my cycle. So I will see you in a week as long as I don't get blown off a mountain. Wish me luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Watch out for that Rockefeller gun.
I will watch out for any Rockefeller anything.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Watch out for these tiny insect-sized drones.
Yeah. Anybody watching over on my side, because I've linked the stream through, please carry on watching these guys. Go over to Shadow Scout Swede. It's on his channel. I think Bob's streaming it as well. So make sure you go and carry on watching because loads of knowledge, and bring a notepad. See you later, guys.
Later.
Bye, Mike.
See you guys.
Mike.
See you, Mike.
Yeah. Recognizing the people who might be a threat during, some emergency situation. Well, number one, someone that you don't know, and number two, I'm sticking with my guns on this. Don't converse with them. Stand your ground. Look at them. Let them know that you're looking at them.
Eye contact.
Don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. Don't.
Has anybody ever watched any programs about these crazy prisons where they got these there's 50 in one little room and they're super aggressive and you're watching a film and just before this guy, this stupid idiot has been suckered into carrying drugs for someone. You get those idiots that are promised something but then they get sacrificed. Not anybody listening out there, don't do that stuff. Anyway, the guy gets caught doing trying to smuggle drugs. He ends up in a prison in South America, and just before he walks into this crazy prison, someone says to him, "Act aggressive," and he's like, "What? What do you mean?" And he wasn't an aggressive person. He just happened to be someone down in his life, and he got caught up in a situation which is bad, stupid. Anyway, the guy said to him, when you walk in there, act super aggressive back, because otherwise you just get chewed up in a prison and in them systems. So he's walked in and everybody's going, "Hey, we're going to see you later." They're all shouting at him, "We're going to kill you." Some are threatening to do him. So he's sort of having to be, he's not really aggressive. I don't know what you think about that, Bob. You might know more about that kind of stuff. I don't know.
I don't know. I've never been in prison. Never.
I don't know.
Never.
Or, no, or maybe you've heard stories. Maybe you guys on the panel have heard other stories similar to that, where in certain situations you've got to be aggressive.
I've seen it in the movies. I've never
In the movie,
seen,
okay, that's it, Mike.
movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, Mike. If you recall any kind of movies you've seen where,
It's a movie. I keep my feet grounded in reality. That's
yeah,
a
but
movie,
these things happen. I think it's also true. There's also stories, real stories like that where they're having to. They've been caught. They do these programs, these kind of document. I think that was actually a documentary. Sorry, there are actually documentaries where they show these people and they say, why did you, they interviewed them and say, why did you carry drugs? And now you're stuck in a Filipino prison or one of these prisons somewhere. And it might be it might be someone from the UK, and they'll do a documentary saying this guy got caught in. They show you how the law works in the Philippines or Indonesia, for example.
Yeah.
And during their experiences, they say how they've gone into a prison that was super aggressive, and they've been given advice to be aggressive as well, back, or otherwise you're just going to be seen as very weak and vulnerable.
Yeah, it's the offensive defensive strategy.
Yes.
I mean, there are. I mean, you ever watch that movie Scum?
Scum. It sounds
Can't
familiar.
Yeah, as I'll briefly say what it is. It's an English movie, and it's about a young offenders prison, and
I've seen it.
yeah, they've got like there's like a top boy in the prison, and he gets called the daddy, and so there's this. One of these boys goes into this prison, and they're getting bullied and all that kind of stuff, and he suddenly realized, you know what, I'm sick of this. So the tactic he uses is he identifies who the top guy is, the daddy, as they're called in this young offenders institution. He puts snooker balls into a sock, goes over, smacks him across the head with it, and then announces to all of the people who were gathered around him that now he's the daddy. And it's like, I'm the daddy now, and that's where that saying comes from. Now, I think, that's a tactic that you see in, like, mostly in movies. So in an SHTF situation, you can imagine a Roman gang or something roaming around. And the idea then would be, okay, what I'll do is I'll identify the leader of this gang, and I'll just go over there and I'll knock him out. And then I'll suddenly say, I'm the hardest guy here now. Now I'm the leader. I think in the real world, you'd probably then be dead. Because the rest of the gang would kick the shit out of you. But I think that there is something to be said about what Bob was saying, where it's not about going after the top dog. It's about literally just standing your ground and making it difficult to allow them to work out what the hell you're doing. So if you go and attack the main guy and suddenly announce that you're the top man now, well, that's you staking a claim to something. Now they can either reject that or accept it. So yeah, they're either going to reject it or accept it, and it's going to happen instantly. I think most of the time they're going to reject it and attack you. If you do what Bob was talking about earlier, where it's you don't really know what he's doing, he could be crazy, he's just standing his ground, he's just holding fast. That's a person that why bother going any further with that person? I don't know anything about this person. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what his claim is.
Yes.
I will probably back off, and I imagine that was the point of that. Yeah. So I wouldn't go too much in for the I'm the daddy type tactic, especially in the SHTF situation, especially if law enforcement's involved, because something we've not really covered much yet is, do you trust law enforcement or some sort of a force? If we're talking about serious SHTF, do you even trust a policeman or a soldier or somebody else who's supposed to be giving aid? Because like I said earlier, in Hurricane Katrina, people were pretending to be these people and then attacking them and stealing from them. And there was even cases of real law enforcement using their authority to take things from people or do things to people. So I'm always very cautious about people in authority, especially in SHTF situations.
Yeah, I agree.
We've seen like across the world, soldiers in other countries take advantage of that fact, and then they just go in there and they become the evilest people you can possibly meet. It happened in the Congo, where soldiers who actually were meant to be on the side of the people they were there to protect just slaughtered them. and just robbed them and raped them and all sorts of nasty things. And that happens all over the world. Even soldiers from, I dare say, maybe the US or the UK. At some point in history, that kind of stuff has happened because some people are just evil by nature, or they're in a situation where so many bad things are going on, they just take advantage of it. They just go for it, And that's why I would be cautious of those people.
I would go back to what we discussed earlier, Alan. Don't go around a group of people that you don't know. Stay away from them.
Yeah. If you're not part of that group already, it's very hard to then become part of it, to infiltrate it.
Just because a cop is there or a soldier is there, I don't know these people. I'm backing out. I'm leaving.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for. See, when you see these riots that take place in the news, it doesn't matter what the riot's about. Like a large street protest about Israel or global warming or whatever, and you see these people standing and they're throwing stones and bottles and stuff at the police. Most of the people that end up badly hurt, are the people who have been hurt by the police, because the police have batons and shields and other things, water cannons or whatever. Those are the kind of things that are going to hurt you. Horses. Those are the things that are going to do you serious damage. Throwing rubbish at the authorities isn't really. Not very many policemen get hurt in these riots. However, countless rioters do.
It's not smart. Don't do it. Stay the hell away from it.
Stay away from that. Never become part of a protest like that, in my opinion.
How are you going to take care of your family if you have a broken arm from a conflict?
Or a broken leg.
Avoid injury, like we said as well earlier. Avoid injury. I'm not, when I was saying about that story about being aggressive, I'm not saying act, walk out into a crowd of people and try and take them on. I was just using that as we're talking about different types of people and different, different behaviors, what to look for. If you're seeing people, it really depends on us. It really depends on the situation. If you find yourself in a situation where it's a difference between death or life, where you had to be aggressive or not, I don't know. If you was in a situation, Bob, where either you had to be aggressive or you didn't, and it was the difference between life and death, what would you do? If you had to be aggressive and do something to someone because they were doing something to you, would you stay passive and just let them do something to you, or would you turn aggressive?
I would go back to my Filipino wife taught me harness, stick and knife. And she's a black belt. She knows and she grew up in a hell on earth. First in, first out. Attack first with everything you've got and get out of there. That's what I would do. First in, first out.
Yeah, I remember you saying once, if you think you're stumbling, I swear it was you. If you think you're coming into a crowd or an area where people are looking really sketchy and you really got nowhere to go, just act mentally messed up. Just walk around, just start yelling out random dumb stuff, or not yelling, but just act dumb, and they'll just ignore the shit out of you. It's like, oh, there's another idiot. Yeah,
and if you have to, whip it out and pee all over yourself and scream and spin in a circle and scream. You're insane. Nobody's going to get near you.
What I've noticed in growing up in London, if you walk through an area confidently, like you're from the area, most times you're okay. If you sort of start acting twitchy, you start, trying to hide your possession somewhere else and put on your different part of your body, make it obvious, start pulling out wads of money, your gold, if you just confidently walk through. There is a saying, there's a funny English saying, Londoners saying, where are you going with that bowl? And you're like, what? For your fruit. So your bowl is you're bowling along the street. Come on, Alan, you must have heard of that.
I'm not really up on the Cockney stuff. That's far outside my area.
Yeah, so basically, you've got to be. Yes, who knows what animal is it that goes nuts in front of a rabbit? It just drives them nuts. So all of a sudden, the rabbits are sort of thinking, should I run away? And all of a sudden, this creature, is it a ferret that does it? There's a creature that sort of jumps, does somersaults, and it just baffles the prey, sort of makes them hypnotized, and then the prey gets them. What is it, a ferret? Is it a ferret?
Sounds like a stoat or something.
So yeah, one of those kind of creatures when they just start acrobatically jumping or doing crazy stuff, like, you know.
There is something to be said about, like you were saying, about having confidence and walking through a place. That in itself will make you not stand out, you know. So if you're in a big city and you look like a tourist, you're kind of shifty and you're a bit lost and you don't really know what's going on. You've got
out on the chest.
You immediately look out of place. You know, I see it. I mean, the closest city to me is Edinburgh, and it's a very touristy city. And I can immediately see when I walk through Edinburgh, I can see all the tourists, and I can see the people who live there, just at a glance. And it's not just about how they look or what they're dressed like. It's kind of just the way they walk and what they're doing. And you know, the tourists tend to walk slower because they're there to take things in, whereas the people who live there are. Yeah, the people who live there are trying to get somewhere.
Yeah, they've seen it. They've seen it all.
They're not interested in the castle. They're just walking home. You know, so you can kind of tell. And I mean, it's one of those things about drawing attention to yourself for crime.
Here's a real important. Listen up, guys. A real important thing, because my wife's from Asia. I can't blend in the crowd. I can't. I stand out. I'm 6 foot and I'm white. They know I'm a foreigner. She taught me one simple trick on our first meeting when we met up in Manila, and that's a really crowded city, dude. And walk in the street. She would not allow me to walk on the sidewalk, and I'm following her down the street. You know, and the cars will go around you. And I asked her, why do that? She said, because if you're on the sidewalk, you can be pushed into a corner and robbed.
Wow.
Don't be afraid to walk in the street or cross the street. Go across the street. If there's a group of people standing down there, go across the street.
Good situational awareness there, right there. Right, but you know what? Saying that, Bob, trust me, if you was in Brixton, London, and you was walking down the road singing reggae, no one would touch you. Brixton, London has got a lot of West Indians, Rastafarians, a lot of, but if you was just, let me just get my face showing. If you're just walking down the road, sort of listening to reggae, you know, singing a reggae song, everyone would go, yeah, man, respect. They think you're from there, you know. So I'm sure you've been in a situation where you've been dancing with Filipino people and having a festival, and they know you. Hi, Bob.
Yeah, I have.
I think there's I don't know about you,
they
Bob.
Know you, so you're you're confident. You could go out at night. They know you. Hi, Bob.
There is a thing.
You're from there. But
there is a thing.
If you went to a strange place.
Yeah. Oh, sorry for interrupting. I was just going to say I've been to Thailand a couple of times, and there was something I noticed that was different between. There was like British guys who lived in Thailand, you know, so they had Thai wives and they'd lived there for years. And the locals treated them different to the way they treated me.
Correct.
Because they knew very quickly, just by the way I spoke, dressed, and walked, they knew very quickly I wasn't resident. I was a tourist. And so they were trying to sell me something or give me something or whatever. Whereas the guys that I was hanging about with, because, you know, they happen to come from a similar area to me, they look exactly like me. They sound exactly like me, but they got treated completely different because they were naturalized. They were naturalized to the place.
Yeah.
So Bob, did you go through that experience where people were trying to sell you stuff and now they're like, oh, that's Bob, let's leave him alone now?
Yeah, I have. And there's
a good one, Alan.
I'll pick up where Alan left off. One of the things that they notice that when you're an expat or a visitor is your skin color. If you're suntanned, they go, oh. And especially when you get close and you wash your clothes in their laundry detergent, they can smell that. That means, oh, he lives here. He's not a fool. But when you're a tourist and you smell like UK or USA,
wow,
and you don't have a suntan, they're going to come for you, dude.
Hey Bob,
Yeah.
if ever we're coming to where you are, we got to know about that detergent stuff. Give us
Yeah,
the name of it.
that's a trick for you guys. Advice, wash your clothes in the local laundry detergent because it's full of perfume.
Mhm.
Because you sweat a lot over there, and they can smell
Actually,
you. Yeah,
yeah,
this guy lives.
smells. Yeah,
This
sorry,
guy
Bob.
lives here, and he's got a Filipino with him.
Yeah, but
And
definitely the way you carry yourself makes a big difference.
It
I
does.
mean,
It does.
last year I was I did a trip in the US. I mentioned this before in one of these chats. I did the whole of Route 66 on a motorcycle with a friend,
yeah,
Right on.
and it was an amazing experience. But it was
awesome.
very obvious to us that we were very foreign. So because we went to lots of different places in the US, people are actually different. Like a lot of people will stereotype even Americans and say American.
Yeah.
Well, they're totally different based on where they are in the country.
True.
And when we did Route 66, we realised that. But it was obvious because we wanted to go into every bar and things. But we didn't even have to speak. Just the way we stood and handled ourselves, people knew we
Yes.
were tourists. They
I
knew
can-
they knew why we were there.
I can spot a European because you guys walk. All Europeans, you walk differently than Americans and Canadians do.
Yeah.
There's
It's a real thing.
different-
It's a real thing.
it is a real thing. I can look at somebody, a white guy who blends in, but he walks differently. And I've said this to my wife here in the States more than once. I go, that's a Euro, guaranteed. You guys kind of, I'm not being mean or anything, but you guys have a kind of a feminine sway to your walk compared to Americans. No, seriously.
Especially
I don't have a-
Italians.
Yes. Oh,
Especially
I've seen it on
Italians.
Oh shit, yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
hey,
they,
don't
they-
talk about the Italians like that. It's
they
not
kind
good.
of.
Hey,
I remember one time when my wife and I first met, we were on a beach, and I saw these two guys walking, and they kind of swayed when they walked, and I went, "Those are Euros." She, how can you tell? Because the way they're walking, Canadians and Americans don't walk that way. We walk with authority. We stomp our feet, kind of, because. And then I go, "Hun, watch. If they're going to go to their bungalow and get changed. If they come out wearing Speedos, they're freaking Europeans." And out they come wearing their Speedos, kind of swaying along. I said, "I fucking told you, Americans do not wear Speedos."
oh, the beat was late that time.
I tell
I'm
you,
not insulting you guys, but there is something to it,
when we did that trip, we did say at the beginning of the trip we weren't going to make ourselves a stereotype and be very touristy and things like that. I tell you, by halfway into that trip, because we'd went through so many states, I had a Texas t-shirt, a cowboy hat, I had some sort of mad bracelet from somewhere. I had the whole shebang. Every time I went somewhere, I picked up something, and by the end of the trip, I looked like a ridiculous tourist that's literally, But I mean, that was the point. That was the point of it. So
Well, that's good to try to blend in. But yeah, that's smart. That's smart.
Blending is one thing. I mean, in an SHTF situation, the blending in to the environment that you're in is critical, I think. Because if you make yourself stand out, then you're not only attracting yourself from an attention point of view for somebody to do something to you, you're simply you're putting out a signal. This kind of goes back to the flags and the banners and stuff. You're putting out a signal that you're something other. You're an other. What that other is doesn't matter. But
that's where the term "gray man" comes in.
Yeah.
Well,
Gray
yeah,
man
yeah.
Right, Mark. Yeah.
Black or gray. A gray man just means you dress like everybody else is. You just kind of blend in with the rest. If they're wearing, hoodies and sneakers and ripped jeans, okay, find yourself a hoodie and get some sneakers and find a pair of jeans and wear a Beavis and Butthead t-shirt, whatever, blend in.
The gray man thing gets. Yeah, sorry,
Alan. I've got a quick question. Sorry, Alan. The question was different behaviors to look out for. Is brushing your teeth considered a behavior? Okay, we're in a SHTF situation. Is it dangerous to brush your teeth in the jungle? We're talking about smells earlier on that could give you away. Bob said about smells. People know you by your smells. So coming back to the smell, is brushing your teeth a behavior?
I would say if everybody around about you looked like the homeless person, then you probably should as well. You know, if you wanted to go with the grey man type look, I mean, personal
Don't
hygiene
brush your teeth.
aside, no.
Oh.
Well, I think that'd be hard to identify, but I mean,
well, I mean, watching that for yes, brush it without the flavors because the smell. Because in war situations, people can smell a cigarette. People can smell, like Bob was saying, different smells. People know the smell. They go, oh, that's not our, washing powder smell in our country.
I would
Yes.
say as a survivalist, if you had the means to brush your teeth in any situation, you should still do it.
You
Yeah,
should
even
still
if-
do
even
it.
You should
if
still do
you're-
it.
Yeah.
Because
is there
it's
a toothpaste?
brush
Is
the
there a
teeth,
toothpaste that has no sort of smell?
No,
to it?
dude, you don't need toothpaste. You can literally just
Yeah.
use a toothbrush. You
So-
just got to get the crud out from between
Charcoal.
your teeth. You don't get bacteria growth. That's all.
Yeah, you can use soap or charcoal or anything else. Because
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing that's worse than having bad breath in an SHTF situation: having
Toothache.
toothache.
No, I'm
Yep.
not saying
Toothache.
don't. But I'm not saying
Uh-huh.
don't brush your teeth. I was just saying to be careful of that. Because usually we don't mind in our bathroom. We've got smelly toothpaste. It's lovely. We love it. We love it in our mouth.
So
we love
that would
but-
fall into environmentally specific. Like, what environment are you in?
environmentally.
And what
yeah.
they like, okay, if I brush my teeth and the rest of the people don't stink, I don't think they're going to notice me not brushing my teeth. If they stink really bad, I don't think they're going to smell Colgate from 20 feet away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
think
I don't-
another.
So you've got it's SHTF situation. You're a group of 50, and you found a river up the road. You've walked 5 miles. You kicked overnight. You want to brush your teeth as a group. Everybody's done it, but then there's also a bad group of marauders around, and they're trying to track you. And then all of a sudden they're smelling all
Okay.
this, Colgate toothpaste.
Well, I guess maybe
So
in that situation,
you might have
I'd
to
say,
remind
okay,
the
don't
group
brush
and
your
say,
teeth.
"Listen, guys, brush your teeth without,
We're
toothpaste.
getting into individualized rabbit holes here. We can pick a
Right,
billion
okay,
different
okay.
scenarios and come up with an answer for each one. I ain't going there today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think toothpaste is too specific. I think clean clothes, for example, would be a thing. So if you were the only person in town that had electricity and you had a washing machine and you had gleaming white t-shirt on, but
I agree.
everybody else around you was dirty and because
Yep.
it's then you're drawing attention to yourself with that
I agree. I
unnecessary
agree.
hygiene. And
You
I would
better-
even go as far as deliberately wearing sort of unclean looking clothes.
What I do when I go to the Philippines, I do not wear brand new clothes into the city. I wear used clothes. Like this shirt, see how wrinkled it is and rumpled up? That's what I wear when I'm in the city. When I'm at my house, new clothes, I look good, but in the city with the normal population, I wash my clothes with their laundry soap and old clothes because you don't want to look like you have money. They already know that you're a foreigner and you have money, but you don't want to wear brand new iron clothes and look like $1 million. Wrong situation to look like you have money. Wrong.
Well,
Very
the grey man concept, right, is quite divisive. A lot of people swear by it, and a lot of other people are very much against it. And I've heard pros and cons of both.
Yeah.
I'm personally, I'm on the side of grey man. I'm on the side of adapting your attire, whether
Yes.
that be clothing or style or your mannerisms or anything, to better not just blend in, but simply just move with the crowd a little. Just move with the people. Okay. I don't really buy the concept of, well, it doesn't matter if I'm walking around in camouflage and nobody else is, because, well, who cares really? Because they're gonna, if they want to take something from you, they'll do it anyway, and it doesn't matter what you dress like. Bullshit. I just don't buy that at all. All you're doing is drawing attention to yourself individually. And it goes back to the thing where I was talking about earlier, where we've been conditioned to believe a certain thing. How many times have you guys heard of the thing where it's a scantily dressed woman is assaulted in the street, right? And people say, well, look at the way she was dressed. That's a big crime, because now you're blaming the victim. A woman should be able to dress however she wants and not be assaulted.
Is that the same as profiling?
Yes, okay.
Profiling,
But I would say, well, no, that person does have a bit of a responsibility to be more cautious of the environment that they're in. Okay.
Yeah.
If I walk around with a Rolex on in the middle of London at night and get robbed, is it blaming me, the victim, to say I brung that upon myself by flashing around a Rolex? Because what I did was I attracted the criminality towards their gaze was attracted towards me because I made myself more apparent to them.
Yes.
Okay, so
I'm
the
glad-
woman, the women, and the woman in the alleyway, right, doesn't deserve to be assaulted by somebody. But the person who did the assaulting didn't just decide in that moment in time that he was going to do it. He's an opportunist like every other criminal, and he was looking around and he sees that easy access. That's who I'll go for. And that's the same in an SHTS situation. If you're in a situation where everybody's starving and you're walking around with a 25 kilogram bag of rice because you're a prepper, you're going to get robbed. You know.
Yeah.
So it's about being cautious.
Yeah. To add to that, Alan. When a woman is wearing tight clothes and scantily clad, like the belly shirts and all that, a criminal can see from a mile away she has no weapon.
Yeah,
he can see that instantly. Boom. But I'm glad you've been.
Or high heels.
Yeah,
they can't run. Can't
run. Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, I'm glad you've been to Thailand, Alan. Good to know that, because this is a guy you want to listen to. A guy right here with experience. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Thailand a couple of times, and not just the touristy places. So it's I love Thailand. I love going there. It's the people are great. The place is great, but you have to be cautious. And Westerners are the target in Thailand.
Yes, sir. You know it. You know it. I've been to the Philippines over the last 20 years. I mean, my wife's Filipina. I've been going there. I lost count how many times I've been to Asia. Lost count. And you are a target. Yeah. And you and I can't blend into a crowd. We just can't.
No, that's impossible. I mean, there are places, if you go to somewhere like Phuket and you're walking down the high street, there's going to be dozens of other tourists there, and they're all going to be doing the same touristy type thing. So to some extent, you can blend in as a tourist. I think even if I lived in Phuket or something like that, sometimes I might want to appear to be a tourist, just so I can move freely, sort of, I'm going to get hassled about, girls try to pull me into bars and stuff, and people try to sell me phone cards and other rubbish, but I can move through knowing what it is I'm likely to encounter.
Yeah.
And so that might be an advantage at sometimes. And it's the same anywhere in any kind of situation. It's about situational awareness. That's what survivalism is. Survivalism isn't about living in the woods. It's about situational awareness and adapting to the environment. Whether that be an SHTS situation, visiting another country, being in a crowd that suddenly goes violent, and knowing what to do and who to avoid, knowing when to stay away from the police when they're holding a riot shield, and when to approach them when you think you need assistance with something. And some people it's amazing how many people are blind to this common sense. And like I said earlier when I gave the example of, imagine a woman in a car park who is waiting for a lift, to go into an elevator, a lift, you call them elevators over there. And the door's open and there's a burly, big, dodgy looking man in there with tattoos and earrings, and he looks dodgy. Our society says that woman should get in that elevator, because if she doesn't, she's a racist, or she's stereotyping, or she's unnecessarily afraid. That guy's probably a gentleman, and he probably is, but he might not be. Just wait. Just let the lift go. Wait for the next one and get in that one.
Looks don't tell you. You could be dressed in a freaking, Armani suit, wearing, $5,000 shoes and wearing a Rolex watch, and she might feel all comfortable and get in the elevator. And when the elevator door opens, he's not in there, and she's dead in the floor. You don't know. Yeah. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, I'm going to bounce, go to my coffee shop. And so it was really good talking with you all. So.
Okay.
Going on Sunday, Bob?
Good seeing you,
Peace
Bob.
out, fellas. Good to see you too. Everybody take care and keep your eyes and ears open. Later.
You going on Sunday, Bob? Bob, you doing Sunday?
I don't
Maybe.
know.
All right, whatever.
Maybe I'll let you know.
You
tomorrow.
do. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah, if I might. I'll send you an email. Let you know. So, all
right.
Peace out, everybody. God bless.
Take care.
I think as well, there'll be a point in an SHTF situation where you're going to have to barter with people and trade with people and try and get something out of them, because no individual has all the skills required in order to make it through a long period of time. At some point you might need medical attention or some sort of security support or something, and you're going to have to know when to approach people then. and when to identify people, then I would be very cautious about that as well. But I wouldn't reject it entirely. I wouldn't isolate myself. There's a big difference between being cautious and a grey man and complete isolation. Complete isolation could be just as bad. In some cases, worse. Especially when it comes to medical.
For a short period of time, you can be in total isolation, but not for a longer time.
No, I mean, we're social animals. We have to be. We're conditioned to be around other people.
You kind of need interaction to just keep your brain straight.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to talk. You need to be. You need to hear what's going on. Also, if you're completely isolated, you're removing yourself from what's going on in the news and round about you. If you're in an SHTF situation, we haven't specified what we're talking about here specifically, but the news that's coming to you, there's no real way of getting that without interacting with everybody else. It's the case of many eyes and many ears sort of principle. You know, when we had power outages in Spain recently, because everybody's phones went down, people literally didn't have a clue what was going on. They were standing outside trains which had came to a stop, and they were wandering around wondering what's going on. That could have been an EMP, could have been a nuclear attack, could have been just a power outage, which it was, could have been some sort of cyber attack. They didn't know.
In a group without news, rumors spread quick. So that's my dog squeaking his ball. Sorry about that. But rumors spread quick. So if you have no information from anywhere, about anything, and somebody says, I heard this, and now everybody says, oh my God, it's an EMP, we're all going to die, you know. And then riots break loose for no reason other than a car hit a telephone pole and knocked down the power for the city.
Well, this is one of the main reasons why we get panic buying in certain situations, or we get the over excess of certain actions. So when we've seen in the UK, we've seen that with fuel. We've had shortages of fuel, and then suddenly people panic buying, and you see huge queues outside petrol stations. There was actually enough fuel for everybody if everybody was just to simply carry on fueling up their car at the same rate that they always did. But because they panicked buy, actually it drains it away quicker. If you were of a prepper mindset or a survivalist mindset, you would have kind of seen that was coming anyway, and maybe you would have kept your car above halfway, maybe filled up a couple of jerry cans, beforehand. Hopefully, I mean, the whole point of being a prepper or a survivalist or somebody just a little bit more in touch is to kind of try and see a little bit further ahead than what you're being told, and preparing for it. That's what the prepared aspect of it is.
Yeah.
And knowing what to panic buy and what not to panic buy. I've heard people say to me, obviously, as a survivalist or a preppery type person, you're completely against the notion of panic buying. Because, the government always say, don't panic buy, everything's under control. I know I say, yeah, panic buy. But make sure you panic buy before everybody else panic buys. That's the clever thing to do. If I thought milk was going to run out tomorrow, and I had a little bit of a rumor about that, I'd maybe go out and buy a couple of extra pints. Am I panic buying? Yes, I am, but I'm panic buying correctly. But it's also knowing what to panic buy. During the COVID crisis, for some reason, everybody went out and bought a bunch of toilet roll. I honestly don't know why.
Same here.
Yeah,
nobody knows why. It just happened. Somebody said something on the news about, Mark Howe is having a shortage of toilet paper. Maybe it's because of the pandemic, and all of a sudden, oh my God, there's going to be no toilet paper. So everybody ran out and bought all the toilet paper.
Yeah, and I remember at the time thinking, well, that's great, because everybody's wasting their time going over to the toilet roll aisle, literally standing waiting for more stuff to be put on a shelf. Well, I was over in the tinned food section buying myself some stag chili and pasta, because I didn't really know. I didn't want to be in the supermarket doing all that queue and stuff and waiting around forever. But I was buying stuff that was actually of use. I wasn't interested in toilet roll. If I ran out of toilet roll and there was no access to toilet roll for a month, I would work something out. Okay, but if I run out of food and I've got no access to it for a month, that's a problem. Yeah. So one's a problem and one isn't. One's an inconvenience. One's a serious situation.
I always laugh on the East Coast here. Nor'easter's coming. We're going to get a foot of snow. I'm like, okay. Everybody's running out and buying milk, bread, and toilet paper. That's the standard three things. Everybody just goes and buys it, and the shelves are empty on those three things. I'm in the store buying a pint of ice cream, and I'm going next door getting a 6-pack of beer, because sure as hell I'm going to sit in the window and watch these idiots try to drive in 2 feet of snow because they're stupid. and I just watch and laugh, and it's my entertainment. And I watch and I'll hang out and do other things in the house, and I'm not running out of anything. I had enough toilet paper to make it through the next month and a half. Why do I need to go buy another case? I'm only going to be stuck in the house for 2 friggin' days, maybe. Plows come through and life goes back to normal again. But people flip out at the last second for the dumbest things.
But what I mean, to my mind, the reason for that is that, there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is that people have a natural instinct. So there is a natural instinct to try and hoard resources if you believe you're not going to have access to them anymore.
Right.
The next reason is, it's like we were saying, the rumor mill, the Chinese whispers. It's the, did you know that we're going to have no toilet paper for the next 6 months? You better go out and get some. And it kind of carries on from there. Then you've got the herd mentality where, well, everybody else is doing it. Do they know something I don't know? I don't know why I'm buying all this toilet paper, but all of them are, so I may as well do it as well. And then it's misinformation, and they just don't have the education. People just don't have the education around the subject of prepping and survival, which is kind of what we're talking about now. They're not prioritizing things that genuinely prioritize because they've lost those skills. If somebody told me that there was going to be a shortage of grain and there wasn't going to be bread for a long time, I wouldn't go out and buy loaves of bread, because even if I could stuff a bunch of it in my freezer, bread doesn't last that long. It lasts a few days, then it kind of goes stale and stuff like that. I would buy flour and yeast. I know how to make it. Yeah. It'd be fresher anyway. How many other people would do that in most of our societies? Very few, I would imagine. That to me is a great shame. That's a skill that all of human history at one point had. And just in the past few years, because we became dependent on just, the just-in-time sort of society, the throwaway society. The idea that you can just go out, buy a sliced bread, consume it in a day, and then move on to the next day and buy more of it. You don't know how it's made. You don't know where it came from. You don't even know what's in it. We've lost a lot of those skills.
We've lost a lot in terms of processed food, but that's a topic for another Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a chef, about the things you can do. You can take some basic ingredients and stretch them a lot. There used to be a time where people would make bone meal and broths and make huge stews and use any kind of root vegetables, and they would feed their family for a long period of time.
Your stew, your 10 liters of stew you just made for the family only had freaking, maybe a half a kilo of beef in there, but the rest was broth and vegetables. You stretched it out.
Yeah, my mom it was the art. Yeah, it was the art of doing things in batches, bulking things, fortifying things, and getting the flavors and stuff that you need out of something with very little, because people had very little, or meat was expensive back in the day.
Yeah.
But because nowadays we live in a society where you order something with an app on your phone, and if that goes away, we're all doomed. I mean, the COVID crisis, one of the things that amazed me the most was that the takeaway companies, the Just Eats and stuff like that, they were still operating. Yeah. They were still going, and people relied on that. I don't have to stock up on food. I'll just order a pizza. This was at the time where people didn't know how severe COVID was. It could have been the plague. It could have been the next plague for all we know. And yet people were still saying, I'm not going to bother, filling a pantry. I'm just going to, buy a pizza because the app on my phone still works.
Uber delivery guy, he's allowed in the store and he can deliver my food. Yeah.
Yeah. And if a real SHTF situation happened, if COVID, for example, did turn into something more than it was and became a real pandemic, in my opinion, but one where, people were dropping dead all over the place properly, like Ebola or something, all the people who thought they could just order a pizza day to day, they would be the kind of people at your door looking for your tinned food, or looking for your preps, or looking for your advice, or your bill, or something. And those are the kind of people you would have to.
It's just for my kids. My kids are hungry. Can you help us out, please? My kids are hungry. It's like, and you want to say it's like, no, I tried to tell you so, but told you so.
Yeah. I suppose it goes to say, I mean, one of the easiest ways to identify people to avoid in an SHTF situation is to identify them before the SHTF situation. So the kind of people who don't pay any attention to this subject, and the kind of people who rush out and buy toilet paper because their neighbour is, those are the people to avoid.
Yeah, you can tell them in the grocery stores around here. You walk through and it's the mom with 3 kids or 2 kids buying nothing but soda and junk food and chips and just all this garbage and pre-made food. You can tell she doesn't know how to cook. She's not buying fresh vegetables. She's not buying flour, sugar, stuff. If she buys sugar, it's probably for her coffee.
Yeah.
But you can tell by looking at grocery carts. I'd say 99% of the grocery carts I see in a couple of the local stores by me. I'm in a fairly large town, and you can tell by their grocery carts that they don't know how to cook. All they know how to do is heat shit in a microwave and feed it to the kids, and that's why the kids are all like way overweight and staring at their phones all day long. And those are the ones that'll be a problem because all of a sudden, no phone, no food, and they're going to be knocking on doors, going, "Can you help me? I got no food." It's like, no, I don't. I have enough for me. Well, can you spare a can of beans? It's like, no, I really can't, because if you give them 1 can of beans, guess what? They're coming back tomorrow saying, "Do you have another can of beans?" And then they tell their friends, "This guy gave me a can of beans."
The whole village finds out. The whole village finds
everybody
out.
finds out. It's like, no, I have like 2 cans of beans left to last me 2 weeks. That's all I got. Sorry.
Yeah, you could probably identify them just from where they are standing in the supermarket. Everybody in the middle are the people to avoid, because that's where all the processed garbage is. All around the perimeter, that's where all the fresh stuff is, and all the
you got the fruit, vegetables, bread, meats, and stuff. Yep. I mean, they'll still buy their steaks and things, and maybe some shredded cheese, and some yogurts. But I mean, you can. I can tell because I understand how cooking works. Hold on.
Yeah, times are getting very harsh as well. I saw a video the other day of loads of people going through this stuff that was reduced, and no, there weren't no sort of patience anymore. Just hands in, like grabbing what they could, just no waiting, just and that was for reduced stuff. And and that's in a situation where it's not SHTF.
Well, that's because over there the price of energy went up so high. It's a choice. Do I pay my electric bill and not freeze to death, or do I go buy some food? So they're getting the cheapest food and dented cans and anything they can get that's reduced because they can't afford stuff. And I get it. And that's a whole nother political nightmare going on there.
I do look for reduced the section sometimes. I have a look to see if there's a bargain. You never know. Obviously, if it's moldy and horrible, I'm not going to touch it. But if it's okay, then it's okay.
Yeah,
I do it all the time. Yeah, I do it all the time, and I'm not really. I worry about the cost of living. I'm not exactly rolling in it, but I look for stuff. But I look for stuff that I can use. And if it's like reduced for quick sale, it's like, okay, can I do something with this tonight, tomorrow, or the next night, and eat and use it all? That way, I'm not, digging into my preps or anything else, or I don't have to buy more stuff. And growing up, I was saying before, my parents went through it tough times. Not everybody's parents did. Mine did. And I never really understood it until my sister and I talked about it, where, it's like, oh, it's Saturday night. Hey, kids, we're having pancakes for dinner. It's like, oh, yeah, pancakes. That was a treat, right? And we're eating pancakes. My mom's eating some pancakes. My dad would sit down and have 1 or 2. And then later in life, we realized it's like, yeah, we didn't have enough money. Mom didn't have enough to go out and get, pasta and sauce and meat and make spaghetti and meat sauce, or to cook a steak or a chicken. She didn't have enough money for that. Pancakes was easy. She had flour, eggs, butter, and some baking powder, and some maple syrup from whatever we had maple syrup there. And we had pancakes. Maybe bacon, but bacon was sort of expensive too. So usually it was just pancakes, and we were all excited because it filled our bellies up, and we fell asleep. And the next day it's like, okay, breakfast. And then Thursday came, my dad got paid, and we're back to normal again. So, but that was back in the 70s and late 60s into the 70s, not the 80s. The 80s were okay.
So even in the UK, what they've done is they're giving a lot of free money out all over the place, and they've called it the cost of living crisis, and they're giving out lots of money to people that are not so well off. And I think it's happening in other countries too. But the thing is,
it happens everywhere.
They knew about this way before it happened. Again, it's almost like they created it, or they made this situation happen.
Well,
because
I know. We all know they
knew. How did they know? How do you know that
inflation goes up? So now your stuff cost double to buy it, even though they gave money away. Now it'll cost us more. Yeah, that's a whole political conversation there.
Crazy stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, Yeah. It's interesting to see different types of behaviours
is.
as well. You know, from toilet people fighting over toilet paper, people fighting over mud or territory, and it's embarrassing seeing mankind sort of killing each other when there's so much for everybody, and there's just mismanagement and lack of real, real sort of courage, really. To sort of put down the arms and just live. Let's just have a big barbecue week, right? Okay, for the next 2 weeks we're having asado. This is called the asado holiday worldwide. We're going to freeze every rent. We're going to freeze debt. We're going to freeze everything, so no one's in debt. It's going to be a barbecue for 2 weeks, okay? And Mike's going to be the chef, and Shadow's going to do the show that night as well, live stream, and Alan's going to bring his kayaks, and I'm just going to let my dog CJ run around and be free, and get a wood stove there.
I think that comment there, Vanessa, I think it was talking about knowledge before the SHTF situation. That's the key. To me, that's the difference between a survivalist and a prepper. As survivalists focus more on the knowledge of something rather than prepping for the thing. It's not about having stuff to see you through the storm. It's about knowing how to get through the storm based on what you know. It's kind of the basic
also,
principles are the same across the board.
Also, it's also about your location as well, knowing the things in your location that could go on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Total awareness of your surroundings and the people and that, and where you're either stuck or choose to be. Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, everybody's got to figure it out for themselves. I mean, there's we always try to, it's the buy my survival bag routine. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. Everybody's survival thoughts are different because of their environment, and you can't cover all of them.
That's right.
All you can do is get basics, first aid, food, water, shelter, and security, stuff like that. And that's all you can start with. But, it's up to you to figure out, do I need more of one, less of another? Do I need something else different? And that's not for us to sit here and tell other people, you need to have this. I mean, we'll tell you the basics.
And also sometimes we also go through the conversations where we're trying to predict what may happen. Obviously, location is key, but we do have the conversation a lot of times where who knows what's going to happen. Even in your location, maybe it might not happen. That's what usually happens in one location.
I mean,
you might move to a different location. You might move to a different location, and bam! Oh, that was unexpected. That's never happened here. And you're thinking, well, that's never happened there, so I'm going to go there. So my place is no good because that happens there. So it's finding a balance. And not only that, you could be on Honolulu on holiday with your Hawaiian shirt on, your flip flops, and it happens. Bam! You haven't got nothing. You've got a straw drink. Right, I'm safe.
Alan was sort of
alluding to. What's my drink? Chef would be like, "Where's my drink? Where's my drink? No. Okay, give me my drink at least." No, but if you're in your Hawaiian shirt, your flip flops, your shorts, you're sleeping on the beach. You woke up and there's a tsunami right in front of you.
Literally. That's the thing. It's about the mindset above the things. Having stuff isn't survival, and prepping isn't about having stuff.
No, and I know Alan was going to say. I know he was going there. It's basically you need to learn how to adapt.
Yeah.
I mean, if your situation is ever changing, you just need to understand that you may need to adapt, and you may have to think about okay, if something like this happens I'm on a volcano, and this happens, how am I going to adapt? If I'm in a boat in the ocean, how am I going to adapt? If I'm in the desert, how am I going to adapt? If I find myself here, there, or other, you just got to understand and figure out that you are going to need to adapt. I can't tell you what you're going to adapt to. We can run down scenarios all day long. We're not gonna. Volcano, islands, Hawaii, all that stuff. Sure, whatever. Doesn't really matter. You just need to understand you're going to need to adapt.
Yeah.
Period.
I heard somebody on YouTube recently in this kind of space saying that he didn't believe in bugging out. He said it was a waste of time. Bug out bags are a waste of time. The concept is a waste of time. There's never a situation where you need to bug out. I'll tell you what, if I lived in Hawaii and there was a big ass volcano right beside where I lived, and I knew it was active, I would have a plan that when that started going off, I had a place to go to, depending on where I was in the island.
Or a boat to
Yeah,
get off
a
the
boat,
island.
something.
Yeah.
I would have. It's just an escape route. That's all that is. That's my bug
Yeah.
out. My bug out isn't about running off into the woods and surviving off the land. It's about
That's
moving.
Yep.
It's about taking myself away from a place of danger for some reason and moving myself to a place of not danger. Whether it be a relative's house, a friend's, it could be the woods, but you know, unless I've got a cache out there, I'm going to have a hard time surviving. So you have to, you know, think forward and see what it is. Actually plan properly for the most likely situation. You can't plan for everything, but you can plan to keep yourself and your family's needs in a situation where you're going to survive, which is the entire point of this, you know?
Yeah. That's why they have fire extinguishers in buildings, you know. You have to bug out your buildings on fire, get out.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. Oh yeah. So it's a
Well,
mindset. Oh my God, dog! I'm serious.
I thought were you falling asleep there, Shadow? You looked a bit tired.
Yeah, I had got 5 hours sleep last night.
Oh, nasty.
Oh wow. Well,
So
when it was,
Well, I'm actually going to bail here in like 5 minutes because I got to give the dog a bath before it starts to get too dark out. So I'm going to bail. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bail off now. Alan, good seeing you. Shadow, thank you.
Good
Dear
seeing
love,
you again.
Keep it
You're
real.
very
good to see you, Chef. Always good to see you.
And I got a whole bunch. I got 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. I got 26 pounds of sliced up jalapenos, which is
Wow.
about 10, 11 kilos of sliced jalapenos to start canning up. I'm going to be up until probably 3 a.m. doing this. So, and it's
you know,
5 o'clock.
I was
It's 5
I was
o'clock
about
here
to
now.
Well, I was about to say, Chef, what are you cooking? What have you been cooking? And you just said something. You just said, bam, what you was doing.
Yeah, they're jalapenos. I make a we call it cowboy candy here. It's a bread and butter pickle brine. So it's sweet. It's vinegar
jalapenos.
and sugar and some mustard seed, a little turmeric, and celery seed. And I boil that, throw the jalapenos in there, but you have to do it in small batches because you can't do a giant batch. I have to do a whole bunch of small batches. That's why I put everything in 2-pound bags, or 2-pound bags. I got to do everything in small batches because you can't do it big or the brine gets too soupy. It's weird. So, but I'll be up. I'll probably get like 60 half pints of cowboy candy. I'll probably by the end of the night, I'll probably be putting them in pint jars because I'm like, I got to get these done. I can't do this all night long.
My friend dying. He fell off his horse. Wait a minute. I've got some cowboy candy.
Yeah.
That'll wake
No,
you up. Sort him out.
it's hot and sweet. It's really good. So anyway, all right, gentlemen, y'all have a great week, and I'll see you next week.
Catch you
Good
later.
night. God bless. Good night, Mike. Chef.
See, Vanessa's question, and I'll quickly answer that based on like my thinking. How far should you bug out to if you can just walk? You're not driving to a bug out location. I'll tell you one thing: when it comes to bugging out, like I say, most of the time it's about bugging out to a place you already know, like a neighbour's house or a friend's house or a relative's. Another house. It's not about going off into the woods. But if you are going off into the woods in the survival type situation, what I have, I'll just speak for me personally, I have 6 bug out locations from where I live, and they're in a kind of circle. And they're along hiking trails and other places where I know. And at each one of those locations, I've got a cache. I spend a lot of time outdoors. I do lots of camping, so it's not a waste. I'll go to these places and I'll use the resources and I'll stock them up, and it's a bit like a hobby, and it's a good way for me to get rid of excess equipment that I've got. Basically, I've got 30 days worth of survival food and tools in each one of these caches. Now, how far away the caches should be? The first cache you should have, the first bug out cache, should be very close to home. So very close. So say you can hike 20 miles, okay, with your bag on. You've got your gear. You know you can hike 20 miles. My first cache is 5 miles away, because most of the time you don't want to be too far away from home in the first place, and you might end up finding yourself in a situation where you weren't able to get all of your resources together. So you just grab what you can, and your first cache is only 5 miles away. You know you don't have far to go. That's where the first one would be. From that cache, I then have all the resources I need. All the preparations are already there for me to sit, wait for a while, And if I need to, then move on to the next cache. The next cache will be as far away as I can possibly go on my ability, but not me personally, on who am I with. So do I have my kids with me, elderly people with me, something like that? It might only be another 5 miles. It might be 10 miles. Even if I know I can hike 20 miles, if I put all my caches 20 miles apart, I'm then pushing my own ability to the limit every time. And I'm probably making it very difficult for somebody else if they're with me. So I always make it smaller than what you think. And your first cache or your first campsite should always be very close to home. Very close to home. That's just my way. That's the way I've adapted. That's in my opinion.
I think that is a
Yes,
good idea and a good plan.
At some point in the future, I'll make a video demonstrating this because there is a little bit of thinking that has went into it over the years. So I'll put
That
something
would be
together.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yep,
I was actually thinking about opening one of my caches and just showing what's in it, what can you do, and this, that kind of stuff. So I'll do that at some point.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I call it a squirrel mentality. So you look at squirrels, for example. When I give them nuts, they go to one direction and go and hide it. They come back, get another one, and they might go back the same direction, and then the third one, they come and get the nut. They go a different direction, and they come back. So they got all their little places where they stash their gear. I mean, stash their caches.
Yeah.
And so that's a great idea because I do something similar, and having one very close by is also a good idea because you can keep watch on what's actually, if you have to, at a pinch, just go sort of a short distance, like you said, because you might rush into an area and bam, you've rushed, too quick, and you've been discovered, or you've been caught out in a bad situation where there's especially in the city where there could be protests, people again with symbols, sides, you could be wearing the wrong t-shirt, and you've walked into the wrong crowd. So it's a great idea to have things in place and don't just move, just too rapidly, step by step. There's, in some situation, in war situations, there's people that say, how quick should I cross the road? And someone would laugh at you and say, what do you mean? Just cross the road. It takes seconds. Well, no, in a certain situation, it might take you hours to cross that road.
I agree.
Because you don't know. There could be a sniper. In a war situation, they teach them how to cross a road. And you're like, wow, I never knew they would. I don't know, Alan, if you know anything about that, or you Swedish, because you've been in the army,
Yeah, it is a certain technique you use for that.
Yeah, I mean that's about ground prep. That's about ground proof. So the situation changes based on the environment. Somebody actually made a good point there when they were talking about. They said, "What if there was 5 foot of snow?" Exactly. So if you know you can hike on a trail for 20 miles in a day, no problem with your gear. Yeah, in the summertime maybe. But what if it's now snowing? Yeah, it's going to take you a hell of a lot longer to get there. So you have to make sure you've got the right gear, the right tools to go between locations, and that's dependent on your environment and stuff as well. I'll tell you right now, though, I'm not an expert in anything, so don't take anything I say as absolute gospel in survival, because I don't believe in survival experts. There's just people who know some stuff and some people who don't. It's incredibly difficult to survive off the land with nothing. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You could be in the tropics where there's an abundance of things like fish and fruits and all this kind of stuff. It's very difficult to survive purely off the land with very little. You need to have caches. Okay? If you watch things like Naked and Afraid and those kind of TV shows, most of the time those people out there who are all survival experts,
suffering.
They're basically just slowly dying from starvation is what they're doing. So why do that? If you have the foresight to pre-plan with caches, then do that. It just makes sense to do that. Even in my, I spend 40 nights a year out most years, and a lot more and some other times in my location in Scotland, in the wilderness areas of Britain. And even I couldn't survive all year round with nothing at all, just a knife. Or if I did, I could do it, but I would be in very bad shape. I would be starving. I would fall victim to injuries. I would have all sorts of problems. It would be difficult for somebody like me, even with my knowledge and my skills of my area, to survive purely off the land, with nothing but a jacket and a knife or something ridiculous, or a survival kit or something. You need a cache or a plan to
I
be
agree.
somewhere.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a good idea because a good thing about a cache is you could have something, for example, another set of clothes, another set of boots. You might have got drenched, or you might have got your clothes damaged, and you've got a fresh set of clothing,
Yeah,
got a fresh set of socks. You've got some water in the cache. You've got some maybe a temporary shelter system, maybe a
yeah.
sleeping bag, a tarp.
Each one of my caches will sustain me for 30 days. Every one of my
Yeah,
caches is identical. So each one of them's identical. I don't carry an axe between caches. I have a cheap axe in each
yeah,
one.
yeah.
I'll just quickly show you because I know we're probably coming to a close
Yeah,
here.
the
I'll,
basics. The
I'll show you.
basics.
I'll quickly show you what I keep my cache stuff in because I've got one here.
Okay.
At each one of my locations, I've got one of these. These
That
are
is a
food
big
grade.
barrel.
These are food grade barrels. This is the size I prefer. I can't remember what litres this is actually. I think it's I think it might be 50.
Yeah.
I think it's a 50 litre. I have one of these and they're basically buried and they're watertight. And inside there I've got 30 days supplies.
Yeah,
So in theory I could spend 6 months in the wilderness in this country just based on me traveling between my caches. And then, after that period of time, I would have to do something else, but that's a very long time.
Yeah, it is.
yeah, very good. They're good containers, them very good containers. And I
You
used
can,
to work for
yeah, they're great. They're actually they're food storage containers. That's what grain and stuff
yes,
comes
yeah.
in.
I
So
used
you
to
can get them.
yeah, I used to work for a shipping company, and we used to ship all kinds of size, different barrels like you got there. We used to ship the metal containers. We used to ship crates, cars. I've got a quick story to tell you. I got done for speeding to Wales one morning because I was supposed to deliver this car to the shipping company. I was working for a shipping company, and I got caught doing 104 miles an hour. But the judge let me off because my company said, "Well, he's our driver, and without him, we'd be lost." So somehow I got grace and got off with it. Um, anyway, we used to ship those containers. Sometimes I'd have to pick them up, those barrels rather. Sorry, I used to pick them up from people's homes, and I'd say, what have you got in here, Mum? It's well heavy. I can't put that on the truck." And she'd say, "Beans, rice," and like I'm thinking, wow, these people are shipping beans, rice from the UK to the West Indies, and
Yeah.
all other kinds of things. I'd be like, say a little joke. I'd say, "What's in there? What's in the barrel, Mum? What have you done to?" Anyway, I was going to say, "What have you done to your other half?" It was a joke. That's a bad joke. Sorry, I shouldn't say jokes like that. I'm sorry. It's coarse jesting. Excuse me. Anyway, those barrels are great, and you're right. Having stashes like that is a fantastic idea. And I don't want to take up more of Shadow's time. He's only had 5 hours sleep last night, and appreciate you, Shadow. Appreciate you, Alan. Everybody in the chat. CR, everybody, Bob.
Yeah, it's always
Evie.
good talking to you as well. I like these
Yeah.
conversations. I always learn
Pleasure.
something when I come on these chats, which is great.
Yeah, it keeps us thinking. It helps us. That's why I really appreciate Shadow, because it's kind of like it's getting us having a conversation at least, and this is great.
Yeah.
In a world where they're saying don't have a conversation, it's like they're the ones who want to speak all the time. They don't let us speak. And if
Yeah.
people speak, they try and arrest you for something. Shadow, you
Yeah.
said something. Shadow, the police are going to knock on your door now because you said something. Shadow spoke. How dare you speak, Shadow? Anyway, sorry. Jello, God
Yeah.
bless you, brother.
God bless you too, brother. Well, I'm pretty tired, so I think I wrap things up now, guys. So, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next one. And remember, be part of the solution, not the problem. And stay safe. And God bless.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Good night, everyone. God bless everyone.
Thanks, Shadow.
You're very welcome. Let's see.